In a surreal wasteland, Mochizuki Satsuki stands her ground before a towering white fox, and with zero fear, she fires back, asking if she'd actually buy the mountain. She freezes in total disbelief, staring at the ridiculous idea of buying an entire mountain like it's insane. The fox keeps firing off his sales pitch, tossing out a price like a challenge, then leaning in to ask if the deal really tempts her. Drowning in panic, Satsuki bursts into a shout, begging everything to just stop and give her a second. Suddenly, she jolts awake inside her sleeping bag, eyes wide with total, mind-blowing confusion. Her eyes widen, locked on the tangled mess of crisscrossing support poles overhead, and the whole ceiling feels like it might snap. The view swings out to her calm little campsite, and just like that, it hits her. The weird encounter wasn't real at all, it was all a dream. She bursts out of her tent into the bright morning light, then throws her arms wide as a huge yawn rips across the air. She pauses and mutters about the March chill that still hangs in the air, then blows warmth into her hands like she's trying to shake off the cold. With a soft, glowing smile, she introduces herself, Mochizuki Satsuki, on her very first solo camping trip. Hoisting that heavy cooler over her shoulder, she weighs the exact reasons that sparked this sudden, wild adventure. She admits to herself this escape wasn't random, it had a deep, crushing reason behind it. A memory hits hard. Her stern boss barks for her to mop up a junior colleague's mess. Then it hits, she remembers her boyfriend of 5 years, and just like that, he casually tells her he's found someone else. All alone in her camp, she stares into the night and swears this trip is her escape hatch from reality. She stops dead for a beat, eyes fixed on the far-off mountains, letting the whole world sink into her thoughts. Her calm finally shatters. She screams her frustrations into the empty wilderness, like the whole world is refusing to listen. After unloading her rage, she exhales a long, steady breath, letting all that pent-up tension finally melt away. She squeezes out a shaky smile, reminding herself she has to enjoy her very first camping trip. With fresh determination blazing in her eyes, Satsuki starts assembling her gear to cook up breakfast. She clutches her gear, mug in hand, then hauls out a tiny stove and flips her hot sandwich press like she's about to cook up something big. A tiny flame bursts to life on her portable stove, blazing like it's ready to cook up breakfast. With all her gear locked in, she steps up and declares, "All right, I'm ready to start." She decides to whip up a sleek breakfast by smashing a packed sandwich with all kinds of tasty ingredients. She eases the press shut, eyes locked in, determined to keep every last drop of that content from spilling out. The sandwich press crackles over the flame on her tiny portable camp table, sizzling like it's about to steal the show. She throws her head back and laughs, basically admitting, yeah, this is way harder than those videos make it look. She decides to stop pushing herself, kicks back, and just waits for her food to cook. A calm, peaceful smile blooms across her face as she sits by the fire, waiting with perfect patience. The sandwich press keeps cranking hotter, cooking every last bite in sumium. The distant mountain range stretches across the horizon, and above it the sky glows bright, packed with soft, fluffy clouds. Her eyes flare wide with pure excitement as she reaches to check her meal. That perfectly pressed sandwich finally comes out, hot, dripping, and packed with melted goodness. She beams at the end result, even though it's a little burnt. Somehow, it still came out great. With a warm, old-school smile, she takes one big, satisfying bite. Her eyes fly wide as that unreal flavor hits her tongue and lights up her whole palate. Pure delight bursts across her face as she blurts out just how insanely tasty it is. She's blown away by how ridiculously good plain bread can taste, and now she's seriously thinking about baking her own at home. Her plate sits totally wiped clean, like breakfast victory stamped in every bite. She pours steaming hot water over the filter, brewing a cozy drink to finish off her meal. That steaming mug of what looks like coffee is finally ready. Go on, take a sip and enjoy it. She leans back in her chair and lets out a big, shaky sigh, pure relief and satisfaction pouring out of her. Two birds slice across the sky, gliding high above the calm, quiet mountain scenery like they own the horizon. As she stares at the calm horizon, a brand new thought ignites in her mind. She can't stop thinking that hitting the great outdoors on a regular basis could turn into the perfect hobby. Her adventure finally wraps up when she steps into the warm, wooden office of the Inari camp. Behind the counter, a warm, friendly guy leaned in and asked her what she thought of her time on the mountain. She strides up to the checkout window, determined to finally pay for her stay and put everything to rest. She flashes a radiant grin and gushes about how wildly she enjoyed being surrounded by nature. He can't help but grin, and he swears he'll bring her to an even better spot next time. Back in the roaring city, she leans back and can't stop smiling, replaying how wild and awesome that spontaneous trip turned out to be. The constant grind of her busy life hits hard as she slumps wearily on a packed train, eyes heavy with stress. At her office desk, a wild, unstoppable pull tugs at her heart. She has to go back to the mountains. The story slams into the night outside her sleek, modern apartment building, towering up in multiple stories. At home, she nearly bursts with excitement when she finds a super simple, no-water curry recipe made for camping. She flashes a confident smile, then dives into more research and starts gearing up for her next wild adventure. Just when her plans feel perfectly smooth, her phone suddenly starts buzzing and yanks her right out of it. She stares at the screen, her heart skipping as she wonders who in the world would call her at this hour. Her face snaps from calm to pure shock, and then, right when she sees the caller's name, unease hits hard. Her phone suddenly lights up with her mom's incoming call, and she tenses up instantly. She glares at her vibrating phone, and pure unease and worry twist across her face. That sudden call hits her out of nowhere, and confusion and anxiety slam into her all at once. Deep down, she can't hide it. Her thoughts spill with a raw, honest hatred for her mother. A gut punch of a memory crawls back, her mother remarrying less than a year after her father's death. She remembers it clear as day. Her new stepdad already had a daughter, and her name was Kokoa. A faceless memory flashes her as a little girl. She looks like she's mid-shout, full of raw upset. Her younger self, still in a school uniform, stares on, eyes heavy with sadness, like she's completely alone. She remembers her mother, so careful, so thoughtful, spoiling Coco like she was the only one in the world. She was basically forgotten, more or less left to fend for herself, and all she ever got was a few coins thrown her way. That neglect ripped away her sense of belonging, like she'd been erased from her own home. The moment she graduated high school, she packed up her life and swore she'd never go back home. To make it through university, she pleaded with her paternal grandparents and borrowed the tuition money. Her kind, smiling grandparents beamed at her and welcomed her with open arms, letting her stay in their house. With their rock-solid support behind her, she pushed through graduation, then landed the job she'd been fighting for. Right now, her phone keeps screaming her mom's call, ringing again and again, refusing to let her breathe. She can't stop thinking. Since she left, not one call has come through, and that silence screams a bad premonition. With a knot in her stomach, she finally picks up the phone. Her mother blurts out, right then and there, "Are you free this coming Saturday?" And it throws her for a loop. Before she can even get a word out, her mom slams down the demand. Coco stays at her place. She shoots back annoyed that she's buried in work, because it always comes down to Coco with you. Her mother coldly brushes off her work, and Satsuki snaps, demanding she drop everything and clear her schedule. Her mother slams the call shut, and she erupts, screaming into her pillow like the frustration has nowhere else to go. She kicks her feet against the bed, fuming, because she refuses to be her mother's errand girl. Defeated and sprawled face first on her bed, she lets out a heavy, exhausted sigh. Steel hardens in her eyes as a fierce plan snaps into place in her mind. As she stares at the city lights glowing below, she makes up her mind. She's going camping again, no questions asked. Ever since that maddening day, she's been chasing peace by the campfire beneath a sky full of stars. Whenever stress hit, like those missed calls from her mom, she bolted for an escape route. Exhaustion weighs on her face as she gets crushed by nonstop pressure from her own family. That quiet, lonely campsite turned into her safe haven, the one place she could count on when the world got too loud. Her boss kept piling on nonstop demands, stacking more and more work until her stress hit the breaking point. Even her pathetic ex-boyfriend couldn't stay away. He'd crawl back with desperate messages, begging her to restart their relationship. Her tent sits bathed in sunrise, and that calm view screams one thing: she's found the perfect escape. Back at home, she grins and scrolls a campsite website, already plotting her next trip like it's calling her name. She flashes a smile and admits she camps every single time she finally gets a day off, even when it costs her. That sharp memory hits him again, when that giant fox offered to sell her a whole mountain. The idea is so wildly absurd that her face snaps into shock, and she just can't stop thinking about it. She lets out a quiet, amused chuckle, laughing at the wild little fantasy her own mind cooked up. She pauses, and in this wild, fragile headspace of hers, she can practically feel herself impulsively saying yes to it. Just as the calm settles in, the doorbell chimes out of nowhere, snapping her out of the quiet with a delivery on the way. A young woman barrels up to her apartment door and loudly declares, "I'm coming." Clutching the box, she blurts out, did she actually order something? Her face lights up the moment she spots the packages her grandparents sent. Inside the box, a jaw-dropping stack of fresh, spotless vegetables sits waiting like a feast just for you. She can't stop thinking about how life-saving that gift is, because produce has been insanely expensive lately. A sudden spark of inspiration slams into her mind as she starts thinking about what to cook. Her thoughts snap straight to a piping hot, delicious-looking pot au feu stew. Now she's at a campsite, gaping in awe as she whips up massive, comforting meals right out in the open. She takes a slow, thoughtful bite of the warm stew, and her cheeks puff up like she's savoring every second. A blissful smile blooms across her face as she savors every delicious bite. Grateful as the sky, she lifts her bowl and thanks her grandparents with all her heart. A caption flashes on screen, and suddenly you realize some serious time has slipped away since that bright, happy moment. A somber funeral altar stands there, flashing framed photos of her grandparents, now gone forever. Shock storms across her face as she confirms her grandparents are gone. A flashback hits hard. This brutal heatwave shows up out of nowhere, and they collapse in the middle of farming. Her face turns heavy with sorrow, like grief crashes down on her the moment everything settles. A voice snaps out across the crowd and calls Satsuki over, demanding a quick word with her for just a moment. She whips around just in time to spot her aunt coming closer, waving softly like it's all going to be okay. That key makes her aunt feel instantly relieved, like it's absolutely no trouble for her at all. She leaned in and asked her aunt what they were talking about, eyes wide with curiosity. Her aunt scoots a banked passbook across the table, pushing it right toward her like it's the start of something big. Satsuki stares down at the thing, whispering, "What are you?" Her aunt tells her the truth. Her grandparents have been quietly stacking money for her tuition repayments. Satsuki snaps open the passbook, and the shock hits her face like it just dawned out of nowhere. The pages lay it all out, steady deposits stacking up until they hit a jaw-dropping 3 million yen. With the huge money staring her in the face, she protests hard, but her aunt shuts her down and insists it's totally fine. Her aunt softly pushes the offer toward her, admitting she's stuck in a rough spot and needs help right now. She clamps the passbook to her chest so hard it almost hurts, overwhelmed by a wave of emotion. Tears spill down her cheeks as she grasps his hand, pouring out a heartfelt "thank you" like it's all she has left. Later that night, the starry sky hangs over her apartment building like a secret waiting to be discovered. Inside, she sits on the edge of her bed, eyes dull, looking utterly drained. She's stretched out on her bed, fully dressed, staring at the ceiling like her mind just shut off. A long, worn-out sigh slips out of her, and you can practically feel her exhaustion sinking deep. Her phone, sitting right beside her, suddenly erupts into a non-stop buzz of notifications. Her boss shoots her a message, "When is she coming back to work?" Her ex-boyfriend, Sakin, suddenly messages her, begging for a second shot at getting back together. Her mom starts firing off furious texts, demanding she take her stepsister in. Crammed with demands she can't handle, she hurls her phone away and screams. She shrieks that nobody better touch her, no one should come near her at a time like this. With a sharp turn, she leans in and hisses that they're the absolute worst people anyone could ever imagine. The story slips into a calm panorama of rolling mountains, blanketed in thick green forests. Tucked deep in the trees, a quaint wooden cabin serves as the campsite's office. Her tiny car rolls into the campsite, and the engine snaps off the second she stops. Stepping out, she admits, straight to herself, that somehow she ended up here anyway. Staying home one more minute felt like it would snap her mind in half. Staring at the office, she steels herself. No way is she wallowing in depression forever. You can see a man hustling inside the reception office of Anirecap. She lets out a hit of nostalgia, realizing this is the very first campsite she's ever had. A tiny smile curls on her lips as she prays she won't get hit with another weird dream. Spiky-haired and still seated, he snaps his gaze up from his paper and greets her with a quick, confident smile. She strides up to the counter and announces she has a reservation for Mochizuki Uki. The man burst into a big, slightly goofy laugh, like he couldn't believe his own luck. His face snaps into shock as he blurts her name, completely stunned. Uki stares at him, completely blindsided by how violently he snaps. She blurts out what just happened to make him snap like that. She snaps her hand in front of his face, waving like crazy, trying to drag his attention back. He suddenly shoves close to her, and she jumps, because he blurts out that he's been waiting for this. He practically can't contain it. He blurts out that he's been waiting for her arrival, with every heartbeat held tight. Flustered, she blurts out a shaky laugh and asks, "Did I mess up? Did I do something wrong?" He boldly tells her, "I'll lead you to a special place," and the moment hangs in the air. She echoes his words, brow furrowing as she tries to crack what he means by this special place. She trails his huge SUV and steers her tiny car down the winding country road, tailing him like she's chasing a secret. Chasing close behind him, she admits she's buzzing with excitement and can't stop wondering what comes next. Her curiosity spikes when she spots something weird up ahead. Their tiny convoy rolls up to a brooding archstone tunnel, and the darkness feels like it's waiting to swallow them. She can't believe it. She stumbles on a tunnel in the middle of nowhere, and it blows her mind. That mysterious tunnel hits her like a gut punch. This place feels special, like it's hiding something meant for her. Her imagination goes berserk, painting a picture of the most luxurious glamping getaway imaginable. That blazing light at the end of the tunnel doesn't just glow, it feels like a door to something far bigger, like a gateway waiting to swallow him up. A grin spreads across her face as she races toward the glowing light ahead. But she doesn't land on some neat plateau. She bursts out onto a rough, dirt-strewn track instead. She stares into the wild, overgrown forest, eyes narrowing as she wonders what kind of place this could possibly be. This brutal wilderness is the special place he promised me about. Her face falls hard as she squints at it and swears that rough-looking mountain is all it is. She drags her car to a stop on the lumpy ground behind his huge SUV. She steps out of her car and scans the wild, overgrown clearing like she's hunting for something. She admits there's room to camp in this place, but honestly, that's the only good thing she can find. With a trembling, worried smile, she realizes this isn't really camping at all. It feels like straight-up survival. She steps up on shaky legs, then asks him point-blank if he's really sure this is the place. He whips around to her with a huge grin and flat-out confirms it. With a dramatic flourish, he steps in and asks, "So, how do you like this mountain? Do you want it?" He clocks her confusion and steps in with a grin. "I'm Inari, the manager of this place." She snatches the business card he hands her, but her face still screams pure disbelief. She's stunned when the card shows up with Inari Sushi printed on it too. With a shaky laugh, she blurts that she honestly can't remember what they even talked about. He suddenly morphs into a colossal, majestic white fox right in front of her. The fox dips low and asks if this new form finally sparks her memory. The moment it clicks, her eyes flare, and she blurts out that he's the fox from her dream. He blurts out right away that they should lock in a contract for the mountain, no delay. He leans in and reminds her, "Yeah, I promised you a special service, and I'm keeping that promise." The fox slyly lifts its blackford paw, and you can practically feel the magic about to burst out. With a brutal stomp, the ground rips with vibration, and the young woman jolts, startled out of her thoughts. A huge thing slams into existence, and its booming arrival echoes across the clearing. A toilet and a bathhouse just popped up out of nowhere, and he immediately asks her, "So, are you grabbing it right now?" The fox clocks her shocked silence and leans in, demanding, "What's wrong with you?" She shrugs off the impossible like it's just another dream, then demands he vanish. She insists this whole thing started when a toilet popped into existence, and somehow a person turned into a giant, talking fox. Her eyes blaze with conviction as she boldly insists, this has to be a dream. The fox admits with a quiet shrug that from her side of the world, it probably does feel like a dream. Then he drops the real bombshell. This mountain isn't here at all. It's in another world, an ice sky. A young woman gasps, whispers another world, and total disbelief shakes her voice. The giant fox breaks it down. This world runs on wild, twisted rules, and somehow that's why the impossible becomes real. Panicking, she blurted, "Did I die?" But the fox shot back, reminding her, "No, you drove here." He uncovers a secret tunnel, one that only she can use to slip back and set the record straight on a truth she refuses to accept. The fox leans in and pushes hard, asking her straight up if she's still not interested in buying. She admits this unreal mess has totally fried her brain, leaving her dizzy, lost, and completely overwhelmed. The massive creature drops its head, basically admitting that her confusion makes total sense. Clenching her courage, she finally dares to ask why he wants her asterisk, specifically to buy that mountain. The fox tilts her head and stares up in deep thought, weighing her answer to that life-or-death question. When you look at the mountain range the way he describes it, it looks like the land is sitting there, untouched, with no owner right now. His face hardens as he growls a warning. If you leave it alone, it'll spiral straight into ruin. The woman watches, her face turning gentle with empathy as he launches into his plea. With its head bowed, the great beast pleads with her to claim it and bring it back to life. He calls out Mochizuki Satsuki and declares he fully believes she's got what it takes. Sasaki freezes, eyes bulging, as she absorbs the massive request like it just hit her in the chest. The fox flickers between forms, as if admitting, yeah, maybe I jumped the gun. Now a human guy tells her, I'll come back later for your final answer. Before he drives off in his massive SUV, he tells her to have an amazing time at camp. As night crashes in, she sinks into a lonely glow by the fire, her mind spinning with heavy thoughts. She's reeling, one explosive proposal just flipped her whole life, and now her heart can't decide what it wants. Staring into the dancing flames, she starts weighing every option like her life depends on it. She can't shake the question, does she truly want to crawl back to her original world? A sharp memory of her dead-end office job crashes back, and it paints her whole life as empty, pride nowhere in sight. She stares into the tunnel, knowing she can always turn back if she wants. A crushing wave of sadness hits her hard as her mind claws back the memory. Her grandparents are gone. Her phone rests on the pillow, a tiny lifeline that shows just how few connections she has left. The idea of waking up in another world slams her with a wave of fear she can't even measure. But under that blazing starry sky, she finally feels it, pure excitement, lighting up everything. The next day breaks, and with it comes a life-changing decision that hits like thunder. The man comes back beaming, flashes a bright greeting, and presses her for her final decision. He cleared his throat and asked her again, would she really buy the mountain? Satsuki shuts her eyes, and a calm, unbreakable smile curls on her lips. Her eyes snap open, and a grin lights up her face as she cheers that she's finally buying it. The second she agrees, a wild surge of power rips across the whole landscape. The whole mountain detonates into a blinding, gorgeous burst of pure light. The man plants his hands on his hips, eyes locked on the unfolding spectacle. He flings his head back and bursts into laughter, absolutely stunned that it's even better than he ever dared to hope. They're perched on a hilltop, and shimmering specks of light rain down around them like the sky is blessing their moment. So yeah, Mochizuki Satsuki ended up buying a whole mountain in a brand new world. She introduces herself as Mochizuki Satsuki, an ordinary office worker with a secret escape plan. Camping is her favorite way to breathe. She was done, completely sick of the real world's crushing pressure bearing down on her life. A talking fox god burst out of nowhere and stared her down with an offer so insane it stole the air from her lungs. This is the tale of how she somehow bought a whole mountain in another world. The second she made her decision, everything exploded into non-stop chaos and momentum. A message from her mom hits, laying down ruthless plans for her stepsister, Coco. Her ex-boyfriend throws himself at her feet, pleading for one more shot and swearing, face full of desperation, that he truly loves her. She smirks, powers her phone off, and just like that, cuts these people out of her life. She can't forget her boss. He'd dump impossible work on her shoulders like it was nothing. She recalls how she slammed her resignation, let her down right in front of his stunned face. Clutching the contract in her hands, she gapes at the monthly management fee like it just hit her in the face. Pure joy crashes over her, and for the first time, she can finally stop stressing about money. With a calm, carefree grin on her face, she hits the road and suddenly feels the weight lift off her shoulders. As her car rockets down the road, she feels untouchable, like nothing in the world can stop her. She grips the wheel and drives her little car down a rough dirt road, stepping straight into the life she's been chasing. A calm, unshakable determination hardens her face as she pushes the car forward. Her car lunges toward the dark, arched mouth of a stone tunnel. A towering, tree-choked mountain range looms behind her new home, like the world built a wall just for her. In a dusty clearing, she and a man seal the deal, hands exchanging for the last time. With a sweet, polite smile, she hands him the signed contract and seals the deal. The man lights up and makes it official. This mountain is now hers. He tells her to register the campsite as her new mailing address. She flashes a smile like this is just another routine move, like nothing in the world can touch her, even now. He hands her a cooler box as her very first welcome gift. Inside, sealed up tight, are packages of venison and wild boar meat, like a proud celebratory gift meant to celebrate hard. She gasps, her face lighting up with pure joy when he tosses in a container of rice crackers. He snaps into action, reminding her to dig into the vacuum-sealed meat the moment she thanks him. Then he hands her one last crucial item, the kind that could make or break her brand new life. She locks eyes on that sleek black object, and the questions start screaming in her head, what on earth is it? With a huge grin, he tells you this isn't just any tablet, it's a special mountain management one. The idea of running an entire mountain on a tablet has her completely stunned. When he spots her confusion, he steps in and offers a quick rundown of what everything does. An infographic lays out the Otherworld tablet course, mapping the exact apps you'll use to build and develop your path. Wearing a professor disguise, he lays out the storage app and how it fits into the KP point system. Another graphic lays out exactly how she can rack up KP by keeping control of the mountain. He spreads his arms wide and promises her that once she starts shaping the land, her life will finally feel complete. After laying it all out in one breath, he leaned in and demanded to know if she'd finally got it. She stalls for a second, unsure, and can't bring herself to call him by name, Inari-san. With a dazzling grin, she dives into practical management instead of wasting time on games. He was stunned, then quickly explained that he used the game as a reference to help her. So he decides it's better to show her instead of trying to talk his way out of it. He yanks out his own tablet, ready to wow her with a live demo right on the spot. On the screen, he taps a plane shed, and that bad boy costs 50 KP and 20 logs. He tells her to keep her eyes locked as they stand right before the untouched forest. With a single tap, the trees crash down in one violent sweep, leaving her frozen in pure shock. He taps the screen again, and every single cut log disappears, swallowed by storage. She stutters in pure disbelief, blurting out, "Wait, did the logs really just vanish?" Once he's got all the supplies, he locks in his choice and picks the shed build option. A wooden shed, fully built and ready to stand, suddenly materializes out of thin air right in front of their eyes. Her mouth drops wide open as he lays out the basic process step by step. He pushes her to try it herself, and he promises more features will roll out later. With a cocky grin, he leaned in and asked if she really thinks it's that easy. Still stunned by what she just saw, she whispers to herself, can she pull off the impossible too? He flashes a brilliant smile and tells her all of this was made just for her. His words finally smash through her shock, and her face instantly flips into a whole new expression. She grips her tablet like its precious treasure and blurts out, "This other world is unreal." She realizes this device lets her craft literally anything, no prior skill needed. With pure excitement, she dives into the building options, hunting the perfect pick for her very first project. She spots a stunning, roomy log cabin on the list, like it's calling her name. She closes her eyes and pictures a peaceful, graceful life in the heart of nature, the dream she's chased for years. The standards are sky-high, but after she watches his demonstration, confidence surges in her like it's unstoppable. With a fierce grin, Satsuki makes her resolve crystal clear and declares it without hesitation. She bursts into joy and declares she's finally ready to live her dream, logging her cabin life for real at last. Her face snaps into wide-eyed panic, like something just ripped the world out from under her. A man's voice shoots down her hope, and she tumbles into hilarious, heartbroken despair. Inari tells everyone that her storage is way too tiny to cram in those huge logs. He tells her to start by sticking to the road toward the nearest spring. Reality hits hard the moment a hand scythe slices into view. She bends to the ground and yanks stubborn weeds by hand, clearing the dirt path one gritty pull at a time. Under the scorching sun, she staggers and looks up with raw exhaustion from the relentless grind of manual labor. She steals a quick glance over her shoulder to see how far she's come. She lets out a frustrated sigh, realizing she's barely moved an inch. She has to admit it, this job is slamming her harder than she expected. Fed up to the bone, she snaps and declares she's clocking out, taking a break. Sprawled in a lounge chair, she admits the work is way tougher than she ever imagined. Her whole vibe flips in an instant, as she can't wait to check exactly how much KP she's racked up. The screen flashes a terrifyingly tiny total, just 6 KP. Horror slams across her face as she realizes she's barely earned anything. She throws a full-on tantrum, screaming that her goal will take forever now. Her frustration snaps straight to Inari-san because she calls her stingy to her face. As evening rolls in, the sun drops under the tree line like it's disappearing for good. Steam bursts up from the roof of the little wooden shed. A plain little shed sits there in the clearing, dead quiet, like it's hiding something. In a basket, her clean, folded clothes are stacked neatly, ready to be put away. As she slips through the frosted door, her silhouette cuts across the glass as she steps into the bath. She slowly lowers her foot into the still water, testing it with a cautious dip. She lets out a heavy breath and just collapses into the warm bath like the world finally slows down. She belts out, bright as sunshine, that nothing beats coming home to a warm bath after work. She lets out a breath of pure relief. Turns out the hot water was right there, waiting for her. She takes a breath and realizes the spring is still a ways off. That makes her stare in disbelief. How on earth could hot water even be possible? She pauses for a beat, and the weird convenience starts to tug at her mind. She figures it's a whole other world, so yeah, it's probably fine. The whole scene's energy flips in an instant. 3 thick slabs of meat hit the grill and sizzle like they're begging to be devoured. Her eyes flare wide, brimming with raw, unstoppable anticipation. She blurts out a curious question, what on earth wild game meat tastes like, and admits this is her first bite ever. She raises a juicy, succulent bite of cooked meat to her mouth with her chopsticks. With a soft smile, she whispers itadakimasu and then digs into her meal. She finally takes that first careful bite of the brand new food, like she's savoring every second. The flavor hits her, and her eyes instantly blow wide with shock. Her face lights up with pure bliss as she declares, loud and proud, that it's absolutely delicious. She breaks down every flavor, and her gratitude hits hard as she thanks Inari-san for the meal. She keeps digging into her meal, savoring every bite beneath the velvet twilight sky. After she finishes her meal, she flashes a cheeky wink while gripping a canned drink. A cold can of drink waits on the table, just begging to be cracked open and enjoyed. Cheeks full, she chomps her food like it's pure joy, savoring every bite with total satisfaction. As night crashes in, the sky ignites with 1,000 twinkling stars. She sinks by the firelight, and a calm, radiant smile spreads across her face. Her quiet campsite glows with a crackling fire, while the starry sky stretches overhead like a watchful dream. That tiny shed sits right there like it's always belonged to her new home. She scans her surroundings, then leans in and whispers, "No way, this is actually incredible." A sweet, peaceful smile lights up her lips like the world couldn't hurt her. She looks back on the wild, unbelievable journey that dragged her into this other world. She admits the truth, her new life feels endlessly weird, like something just won't sit right. She even admits that surviving life on that mountain is exactly easy. But even with everything crashing down around her, a sudden realization hits her like a bolt of lightning. She realizes right here, right now, that she's finally happy for real. Unseen, a monstrous snake slithers toward her peaceful campsite. Its massive body tears a branch in half as it slithers deeper into the woods. Its forked tongue shoots out, tasting the air like it's hunting for its next meal. The snake's menacing face snaps into view, its eyes locked dead on its target. The story cuts straight to a giant hardware store in the real world. The aisles are packed to the brim with every kind of supply you could possibly need. Stacks of building materials are laid out for sale, ready for anyone to grab and build their next big plan. She wastes zero time. She grabs as many supplies as she can while she can still return home. Her shopping cart rattles loud as she weaves through the store. She remembers grinding for hours, only to pocket a measly 6K points. She's furious because chasing enough KP by hand feels flat out impossible. Suddenly, her eyes snap to the exact perfect solution sitting in an aisle. A sudden lightning bolt of inspiration strikes as she spots exactly what she needs. This rechargeable grass trimmer costs a cool 24,980 yen. Back at her campsite, she tears into her fresh gear and starts unpacking everything fast. She plants a giant solar panel in place, just so it can juice up the battery charger. She flips through the manual and can't stop wondering, did the setup charge up the right way? Knowing it'll take time, she knuckles down and unloads her other purchases. She's planted at the back of her car, gripping her stuff, ready to yank everything out and hit the road. The solar panel flashes with a bright glimmer, screaming that her modern solution is finally here. She flashes a smile, basically admitting she went all in and loaded up on gear like crazy. Inside her haul, there's a portable battery, an electric saw, and a whole stash of tools ready for action. She figures now's the perfect moment and jumps to install shelves in the shed. She taps her screen, eyes locked on the charging bar, begging for that battery to hit 100% already. She tips her cap into place and shoots a quick look at the charging unit as it powers up. To her absolute shock, the battery is already maxed out at a full 100%. She can't believe how this world's weird rules let it charge at lightning speed. The powerful grass trimmer roars to life, shredding through the grass like a cyclone. She screams with pure joy, thrilled that this is so much faster than manual labor. She's betting everything on a ground-leveling function, carving out a brand new path from the dirt up. She's absolutely buzzing. She's stacking KP at this wild new pace, and it's moving way faster than before. A montage rips through as she busts her tail, clearing the land with sheer grit. She finally takes a well-earned break and digs into a proper meal. Sweat drenched her face, but when she wiped it away, she couldn't help smiling. She was finally done, and it felt so satisfying. As the day crashes to a close, he sinks into a warm, happy bath and finally lets all the stress melt away. She keeps right on mowing through the job, trimming everything down with sharp, efficient speed. At night, she sinks into her tent and sleeps like nothing can touch her. She checks her map and realizes she's closing in on the spring. She's all confidence as she predicts she'll be there by tomorrow. A sudden rustle erupts from the bushes, and she jerks back like something just grabbed her attention. She crouches there, eyes darting through the leaves, heart pounding as she demands, "What was that sound?" She forces herself to believe a feral beast won't show up. She stares into the pitch-black woods, her face drained of color as dread tightens in her chest. Deep in the forest, two fluffy white pups tumble and wrestle in the undergrowth, bursting with playful energy. A young woman's face lights up, her sparkling eyes practically scream, they're adorable. One of the pups suddenly snaps to attention, its ears shoot up like it just heard something terrifying. The pups keep blasting with boisterous play, totally oblivious to the woman watching them from the bushes. Both pups dash off with their fluffy tails wagging like mad, seen from right behind them. Crouched behind a bush, the two pups peek out and scan the area with wide, curious eyes. The woman drops into a crouch, her voice soft but urgent as she beckons them in, urging them to come closer. The two pups lock eyes, and you can almost see them weighing their next move. One of the pups slowly edges closer, staring at her outstretched hands like they might be its next lifeline. The pup shoves its nose right up to her fingers, sniffing with pure curiosity. Then, one quick sniff later, it decides she's cool, tail flicking in a tiny happy wag. Her face lights up with pure joy as the pup finally makes contact with her. The timid little pup blurts out a sudden, sharp alarm bark, like it spotted danger out of nowhere. That first pup jolts at the bark, snapping its head around in pure shock. A flicker of mild disappointment crosses her face as both pups launch into the bushes and vanish from sight. She watches their backs disappear, clinging to hope that they'll come back someday and visit again. As night crashes down, a blanket of stars ignites overhead, glowing above the shadowy forest trees. At her campsite, she sinks into a chair, munches a snack, and checks her tablet like she's taking a breather before whatever comes next. The tablet flashed her KP total, 482, and she lit up instantly because her progress was blowing up at full speed. She gets a notification. She can level up her storage ability right now for just 300 KP. A blazing flash pops as a Katsune mask icon lights up, sealing the level up like a victory stamp. She realizes her storage has blown up in size, putting her one step away from hoarding massive logs. Laughing with pure joy, she realizes her dream of a log cabin might actually be within reach. A wave of triumphant cheers booms under the starry sky as she celebrates, unstoppable and glowing with joy. The very next day, she charges to a towering, razor-straight cliff wall, because this time, a whole new kind of danger is waiting. She's stunned. Why is the spring she's chasing perched up so high? She presses her palm to the slick rock and realizes, with a sinking chill, there's no way up, so she pivots and hunts for another route. Right then it hits her. When she recalls her expansion capability, a wild idea sparks in her mind. With her tablet in hand, she hunts for tools that go way past logging and ground leveling. She stumbles on earth fill and earth cut, and suddenly realizes these powers are hers to wield. She's set on using earth film to carve a slope right against that cliff. The ground bucks and shudders, and like magic, an ominous mound of earth tears itself into existence. She stares in pure disbelief, jaw dropping as she points out how the ground has shot up. She digs into the slope with an earth cut, carving out fresh steps one slice at a time. Then she grabs stones from her stash and lays them along the fresh steps, sealing the whole staircase into place. A glorious stone staircase now climbs the cliff, and she declares with total certainty, it's done. She climbs the steps and can't help staring. Somehow, this place turned into a real stairway. At the very top, she whips her head around, and curiosity crackles as she spots what's waiting for her. She finally arrived at her destination, a calm, natural spring with a stone basin waiting quietly like a secret. She peers at the rock crack and watches the water pour out in a steady, relentless stream. The crystal water splashes into the basin, nothing like the wild gush she'd pictured. She smiles as she notices just how unbelievably clean and crystal pristine the water looks. Remembering what Anarison said, that it's drinkable, she takes a breath and decides it's safe. She drops to her knees, cups the water in her hands, and gasps at how ice-cold it feels. She cups her hands and gathers a cool, crystal-clear stream of water. After one sip, she lets out a delighted sigh and practically declares, "That's so good." She smiles because those steps hit even sweeter after she busted her butt building every single stair. Right behind her, a massive dark-scaled snake head slithers into view from the shadows. She's totally oblivious, and she joyfully plots to come back later with a water tank. A sudden noise snaps her around, her face twists from confusion into full-blown alarm. She's suddenly face to face with a giant snake that rears up, and a bone-chilling hiss tears through the air. She stammers in pure shock, staring at the snake like it's unreal, demanding how something that huge could possibly exist. The monstrous serpent snaps its jaws wide open, ready to lunge and destroy her. A sudden blur slams through the air, motion and noise exploding at once, and it cuts the snake's attack off mid-swing. The two white pups snap into action and slam into the snake with ruthless, non-stop ferocity. She gasps in shock, then realizes it's her tiny, furry rescuers saving the day. One of the pups drives its teeth into the snake's thick scales, sinking deeper with every bite. The snake rips and thrashes in panic, clawing at the air as its tiny, stubborn attackers refuse to let go. One brave pup refuses to let go, clinging to the snake's back as it thrashes and twists. The snake thrashes like crazy, and the little pup gets hucked straight into the air. It drops back on its feet like a spring, snapping into position to go right back at that massive monster. With injuries screaming and overwhelm crushing him, the giant snake finally snaps around and bolts into the woods. One of the pups snaps off an aggressive bark, charging into a full-on chase as the monster stares right back. She blurts an urgent command, screaming at the pup to stop, because chasing that snake is a terrible idea. Her focus snaps to the other pup, and she realizes it's hurt bad. She refuses to let it vanish, so she grabs it and sprints back to camp. That other pup keeps yapping at her like it's on a mission, urging her to hurry as it scampers right behind them. Back at her campsite, she tears open the shed and frantically hunts for anything medical she can find. She spots a first aid kit, but her heart drops. Can human medicine really be safe for a dog? Flustered, she racks her brain. What else will the pup need before this is over? A sharp *arf** rips in from behind her, yanking her out of her frantic search. She whips around, and there they are, both pups sitting perfectly still, totally unhurt. Relief hit her like a wave, and she scooped them into a tight hug, practically vibrating with joy that they were okay. She crouches down and gently pets both of them, thanking them like crazy for pulling her out earlier. One pup flops onto its back, and she lights up with delight as she marvels at just how tough they are. The pup's ear twitches out of nowhere, snapping to an unseen sound only it can hear. Spotting the shift in her mood, she blurts, "What's wrong?" The little pup yanks her sleeve, desperate for her to follow it right now. It stares at her like it's waiting for the final answer, and she nods, then agrees to follow. She grinned and asked, right as they guided her, "Where are you taking me?" They march her right up to this huge white wolf, jaws clamped around the dead snake. She gasps in pure shock, totally baffled. What kind of fresh disaster is coming next? The two pups shoot their heads up at the bigger wolf, yapping with pure joy like they can't wait another second. She clicks instantly. The giant wolf has to be the mom of those two pups. The mother wolf drops the dead snake right at her paws, and she jerks back with a sharp, involuntary flinch. She locks eyes on that giant snake from before. Now it lies dead at her feet. The mother wolf locks eyes with her, calm as stone, deadly intense, and clearly waiting for the next move. She swallowed her nerves and asked if it wanted her to grab the snake, thanking it like it just saved the day. The parent wolf gives a quick knowing nod, like, all right, it's done, and its job finally feels finished. The whole wolf family jerks around and sprints off, vanishing into the forest like they were never there. She gives them a bright, cheerful bye-bye wave, even though she's still a little dazed. She's stuck there alone with that massive carcass, forced to sift through what that weird encounter just threw at her. She can't believe it, this other world is totally unhinged, and she stares at everyone's ridiculously oversized bodies like, what the hell? A month has flown by since she started living up on that mountain. A soft patter of pauses hits the ground, like footsteps stopping, signaling someone's arrival. She snaps her gaze up from her work, just as that familiar sound rushes closer. Her whole face brightens with a warm, welcoming smile as she leans in and asks, "You're back again." Two pups shot toward her, springing up with pure joy and excitement. She cracks up as they show up with affectionate licks and wrap her up in warm cuddles. She leans in and pets them both, then laughs like, "Seriously, you're always bursting with energy." Satsuki lights up with a bright grin and announces, "I finally made my very first friends in this new world." But the moment her fresh veggies wilt inside her cooler, a brand new struggle slams into her life. She lets out a heavy sigh, admitting that even a basic cooler has its limits. Despair hit her hard. Turns out, even the vegetables she'd stashed in her magical storage had spoiled. She's busy scanning her tablet for answers when a surprise notification suddenly grabs her attention. She taps her development app and boom, she finds a brand new field's function unlocked and ready to use. Flashback hits. Nari swears that every new power comes from stacking KP, one urn at a time. She spots her way out and slams the new field's icon on her screen with zero hesitation. Her eyes blaze with fresh purpose as she announces, "All right, let's start farming." In a clearing, she shoos her two mischievous pups aside as she starts plotting her next move, right there, with a feel-good plan brewing fast. Her tablet flashes the option. She can grow ridges and seedling beds just by devouring her KP. She beams with pure joy, pointing out all the vegetables she can finally grow now. Her finger twitches the second she spots a confusing, ambiguous detail in the list. She frowns hard, trying to figure out if potato means sweet potatoes or good old regular ones. Frustrated, she realizes the exact variety won't reveal itself until the moment she plants the seeds. Inari's voice echoes in her memory, cool as day, like, "If it's edible, then it's fine." She bites back her worries, takes a deep breath, and just goes for it, because she can't help wondering what happens next. On her tablet, she meticulously maps out the exact range for ridged rows, 3 to 10 meters. Then she lines up the potatoes, carrots, and onions, planting them into every single row. After he confirmed it, 3 flawless earthen ridges shot into existence in an instant, startling her 2 pups out of nowhere. Right after that, tiny green sprouts burst up through the fresh soil like it was nothing short of a miracle. With a proud flourish, she steps back and declares, "The field is finally complete." Her eyes go huge with wonder as she stares at the farmstead that pops into existence at her command. She can't believe how much easier this feels than hauling her weight on her grandpa's farm. With the planting finally finished, she knows exactly what comes next. She's got to sprint off and grab some water. A brutal splash erupts behind her, and she whips around in pure shock. She glances down, and there's her boot planted right inside a puddle that's mysteriously bubbling like it's alive. She snaps her arms out in panic as the puddle swells bigger with every single heartbeat. Panic hits her. She can't stop fearing the rising water will smash the fresh ridges she just built. She screams at her 2 pups at the top of her lungs, urging them to scramble away before the water keeps surging and swallowing everything. Right before her eyes, a little pond rimmed with stones began to rise up, water fizzing and bubbling as it poured into existence. Crouched at the edge, she can't stop staring. Why would a spring suddenly pop up here? She admits the water source is right there, sure, but it feels way too perfectly placed, like fate is handing her a shortcut. That strange, powerful magic crawls under her skin, and she can't shake the feeling she's being watched. In the sunlight, this brand new pond sparkles with an almost magical, crystal pristine glow. She shoves her paranoia aside and grabs this wild, unexpected chance before it slips away. She plunges her watering can into the crystal cool water of the brand new pond. With a bright, bouncy tune on her lips, she carefully sprinkles water over her fresh seedlings, nurturing them like they're precious dreams just waiting to grow. She coaxes those little sprouts to shoot up into big, juicy goodness, while sparkling water drips over them like a blessing. The whole place feels like paradise as she works her field, and her loyal pups romp and yip nearby, happy as can be. Her bright laughter bounces through the quiet clearing as she puts the last touch on her work. Night crashes down, and a dazzling sky packed with stars blooms above their peaceful campsite. The very next morning rolls in, and she's got her tent set up in a calm, peaceful forest clearing, everything quiet, like the world's holding its breath. Peeking out of her tent, her sleepy face vanishes in an instant. Pure shock takes over. She stands between the rows, frozen in disbelief at the sight of fully grown vegetable plants. She's in pure disbelief as she sprints to the crops, insisting that this insane, lightning-fast growth is absolutely unreal. She snatches a plant, absolutely sure it couldn't possibly have grown that much in just one night. With a thunderous yank, she digs up a colossal, overflowing pile of big, juicy potatoes. Kneeling in the dirt, she locks eyes on the miracle harvest, stunned that it truly grew. The moment she sees her instant growth farm in action, it hits her hard, and she starts seriously weighing what it could unleash. She suddenly sees it. She can become truly self-sufficient and grow her own vegetables no matter the season. The instant this new power clicks in, her mind shoots straight to the next move to power up her farm. The story snaps to a sleek, modern wooden building, Ari San's place of business. Inside, Inarison beams at her, pulls her into a warm greeting, and asks what exactly brings her here today. Satsuki beams and blurts out, "Hey, do you know a place where I can get some chickens?" Inari freezes at the request, then quickly snaps back that she wants to raise them herself. She insists, eyes blazing, that she'll fork over whatever amount of money it takes. He waves her off with a calm grin, telling her straight up that money isn't the real problem. He snaps into it, reminding her of the rule from her world: those creatures can't be brought here. Satsuki's voice broke with regret she'd forgotten, and now she had to scramble to find her livestock nearby fast. Neri paused for a breath, then asked her, "Give me just a little time, okay?" Determination hardens on his face as he swears he'll hunt down a way to get her out of this. She's completely over the moon by his generous offer, and she practically showers him with non-stop thanks for all his help. Then he leaned in and asked, "So tell me, how's your new mountain life been treating you?" Chomping her snack, she admits it might be rough sometimes, but things are going great, like really great. She practically bursts with excitement, telling him how her powerful expansion KUN app can help her build that farm. With a radiant, beaming smile, she can't stop gushing about how wildly amazing the farming app really is. She breezes in and casually drops the bombshell: those crops were ready to harvest after one single night. Inari, still choking on the shock, snaps that no such function is supposed to exist. Satsuki can't believe what he's feeling, so he blurts out, "Wait, are you really that shocked, or is this just insanely unusual?" He straightens up, dead serious, sure her success has to be the work of mysterious spirits. He tells them straight up, every natural thing in this world happens because spirits run the show. If the spirit latches onto a person, the land around them erupts with resources, like the world itself is feeding them. But rile them up and boom, terrible disasters hit, reshaping the whole landscape. He stares at her hard, convinced the spirits absolutely adore her. Satsuki stands there, staring into the air, and quietly wrestles with the terrifying thought that spirits really are walking through their world. She blurts out, wondering if this place could hide magic too. Inari flashes a huge grin and confirms that magic is real, and the joy on her face practically lights up the room. She jolts to the terrifying truth: this magical tablet isn't just a tool, it is asterisk magic in disguise. Inari tells him, "Get those chickens first, then come straight to my place." As she drives off, she hands him the entire job of tracking down the chickens. No half steps, just you. She leans out of her car and waves goodbye, while he stands on the porch of his building, watching her pull away. Up on her mountain, she and her pups teamed up to dig up fresh carrots and bring in the harvest together. One brave pup yanks that heavy sack with everything she's got, while she trudges along with a whole crate stacked on top. The fields spit out a ridiculous bounty: massive crates loaded to the brim with potatoes, like the harvest is out here flexing. When the dust finally settles, she drops to her knees at her campsite, alone, and kicks off a whole new project from scratch. With pure focus burning in her eyes, she plants solar-powered garden lights deep into the soft earth. She beams, finally getting around to installing the proper lighting she's been craving for ages. She realizes the new lights will turn those pitch-black nights into something you can finally navigate with confidence. Gravel crunches under the weight of tires as Inarison's massive SUV barrels into view. He flashes a bright grin at her and asks, "So what's got you here at my campsite today?" as she wonders why he showed up. He swings out a rooster and two hens, grinning as he announces the promised chickens have arrived. Satsuki panicked and blurted out an apology, telling him she didn't have much cash on her to pay him. He insists she doesn't owe him a single cent, calling it a gift for every drop of sweat she poured into her hard work. When he demands to know where she'll stash them, she shoots back that she'll build a pen right now. He stops, eyes sweeping the place, and can't believe how the whole area got transformed in just a blink. Inari breaks into genuine shock at how insanely fast her progress is. He stares at it, stunned. This development has blown past everything he ever expected. With a sharp, knowing look, he clocks it. She still hasn't uncovered it all yet. His gaze opens a magical world. Spirits swarm the place, tending her flourishing homestead like it's their sacred duty. A glowing angelic light spirit turns to her companions and demands, "Did you really gather enough power of light?" Her companions lean in and confirm it, right there, hovering over the solar panel now fully charged. Sparkling water spirits burst in with cheerful cheers, swearing they'd turn the water into something absolutely delicious. The earth, water, and light spirits slam their powers together, vowing to fuel the plant's growth. From far away, Inari can barely believe her eyes, so many spirits piled in here this fast. He smirks like he already knows, and locks onto that one special kind of light, as if it's the whole key. It looks like a harmless garden light at first, but now it's got a whole darker story lurking behind it. Inari suddenly realizes that when she set it all up, she accidentally forged a brutal, unbreakable barrier. He fesses up that he figured something would happen, but he never saw it coming this powerful. His mind snapped straight back to the woman at the heart of everything, Mochizuki Satsuki. The spirits swirl around Satsuki, murmuring that it's no wonder their master wanted her. Sasaki strides up to Inari and proudly calls out that the chicken pen is finally finished. Inari shoots her a confident nod, even as he knows she can't actually see the spirits herself. A relentless swarm of glowing light spirits surged through Gofsatsuki, spinning her world until her head started to reel. Inari bursts into laughter and asks, "Wait, can you even see what's in front of you through this light?" Months have slammed by since Satsuki snagged a mountain in a whole other world. Just as summer starts to slip away, autumn's first signs burst onto the landscape. After grinding day after day, Satsuki kept pushing forward, clearing the land and chopping down trees bit by bit. She stands in front of her magnificent new log cabin and lets out a joy-filled shout that almost shakes the whole place. Inside, she lights up when she finds out the cabin has a real bathtub. She practically bursts with joy when she spots a modern, working toilet in the bathroom. Her jaw drops all over again when she finally finds a real bed, and her two companions rush in to join her. She lets out a satisfied breath, then collapses face first onto the soft bed, completely wiped out. She grins to herself, remembering every grueling moment she put in to finally earn this level of comfort. Right at the nearby camp building, a divine conversation kicks off. A glowing orb named Ignisama hangs in the air and urgently asks how Mochizuki Satsuki is doing. Inari shot back to his master that everything was going insanely well. He says, just like you'd expect from the former saintess, she's blown past every single expectation. Ignos can't stop smiling. She knows her power will shield the land's sacred beasts and wandering spirits. Inari blurts out, "Should we tell you you're the saintess?" But Igno shuts it down fast, saying there's no need. The god shrugs off everything and says, "As long as you're happy and loving every second, that's all that matters." Inari admits that, in her old world, she really struggled to make sense of human relationships. Ignisama exhales a heavy sigh and admits, yeah, it was 100% his own fault. He tells her the truth, somehow his blessing flipped sides, and in her world it turned into a curse. The god grins and smugly announces that everything is fine, right here, in the world he built. Inari laughs, and you can practically hear the smug grin forming on his master's face. Ignisama dodges the topic and marvels, stunned by all the wild, brilliant things humans come up with. Inari nods, clutching a newspaper, and admits, straight up, that human inventions are absolutely mind-blowing. The god can't stop staring at it, two human worlds, totally different, yet somehow the same species. Inari snaps his gaze up from his paper, ready to speak to his master, Ignisama. A sudden noise rips through his thoughts, snapping his attention straight to it. Just then a tiny car comes barreling in, and he grins like, "Talk about the devil, right on cue." Ignisama hands the rest to Inari, then vanishes without warning. Satsuki hops out of her car, grinning ear to ear as she cheers Inari with a bright, "Good morning." Her face bursts into a grin as she can't contain her excitement and declares her log cabin is finally done. Inari beams at her for all her hard work, then they clasp hands and grin like they just won the world. Sasaki spots the items in our repacking boxes and immediately fires off a question, "Why is it in here?" With a grin, he tells you the campsite shuts down for winter because the snow is crushing everything. When she hears that the nearby tunnel is sealing up too, Satsuki's eyes widen. She finally understands what it all means. Panic hits her face as the truth lands. She'll be totally shut out from him, like the world just locked them apart. Inari braces for the truth, confirming her worst fears, and tells everyone to stock up on firewood and food before things get ugly. Satsuki's face drops as she realizes with horror she already burned through all her wood building the cabin. Inari lanes in, reassuring her and urging, "Start by building a food storage room first." Satsuki finally gets it. She braces herself and starts preparing the right way for her very first winter. To help her kick things off, Inari steps in right away and generously offers to bring her firewood. Taking his advice, Satsuki heads straight to Kenmart, a home and garden center. She scans the camping gear, and her eyes lock onto the bundles of firewood stacked for sale. A sign for DIY campers snaps her attention, and it warns, firewood has to be dried before it's any good. Not sure how much she'll truly need, she grabs a little extra, then rolls up her sleeves and handles the rest herself. At the checkout, she freezes when she sees just how brutally expensive everything costs. Up on her mountain, the sky stretches crystal clear while she sinks into thought, plotting her next masterpiece. She tilts her head and studies the sky, weighing every winter option like her next move could make or break everything. With her two companions at her side, she pauses on the spot, staring at that steep slope behind the cabin like it might be her way out. She remembers this TV show where a cave gets turned into a dry-aging room for him. Just when she's plotting everything out, a loud clunking sound snaps her attention from right nearby. Inari pulls up in his truck, then leans in to hype her up with, "That log cabin is seriously impressive." He swings her over to the truck bed and lets her see the blazing haul he managed to drag back. Sasaki shoots right in to offer paying, but Inari waves it off, no need to worry. He shrugs off her protests and declares the firewood as a generous winter bonus. A sudden sharp barking snaps Inari's head around, curiosity sparking in his eyes. He spots two tiny white pups and immediately mutters that some cheeky little troublemakers have wandered in. Satsuki shoots him a worried look and blurts, "What's wrong?" as his grim expression scares her. She quizzes Inari, asking if he recognizes those creatures, sure they're nothing but dogs, right? He snaps back and tells her, "No, those are white wolf pups, the real proper monsters." Satsuki fights tooth and nail to defend them, swearing they're good kids who actually saved her life. Inari finally gives in, telling them he doesn't care, as long as she's okay. His face snaps into focus as his sharp ears catch the faint sound of something closing in. He blares that powerful monsters just showed up, and Satsuki instantly jolts in shock. A rustle from the bushes tears through the air, and you can feel a brand new presence creeping in. Inari just watches, calm and sharp-eyed, like she already knows what's coming as the creatures spill into view. Two massive, majestic white wolves suddenly stride in, one on each side, while their two tiny pups huddle between them. Inari clocks it instantly. These have to be the parents of the two little wolves. He spots a shimmering barrier right under their feet, and the truth hits hard. They weren't invited in. He stays cool and quietly asks one of the parent wolves, "So the pups, are they yours?" The god keeps grilling the massive beast, demanding to know why it showed up here. Satsuki's jaw drops as she realizes there's no way Inari's just human if the wolves are actually talking back. After they finally get their answer, Inari flashes a smile like they just cracked the whole plan, and they understand exactly what it means. Then he spins around and snaps his hand out, beckoning the jittery Satsuki to step right up to him. He leaned into Satsuki and asked, "Can I let the giant wolves into the barrier?" Satsuki asks if it's really safe, and Inari just flashes a calm grin, telling her everything's totally fine. With trembling steps, she follows his lead and cautiously grants the massive creature permission to come inside. A massive white paw stomps straight through the shimmering hexagonal barrier, shattering it with every step. Satsuki tilts her head up, a jittery, threatening dread twisting in her gut as the giant wolf looms right over her. Instead of going for her, both adult wolves press their heads to hers like they're cuddling her. She's totally thrown off by the sudden chaos and blurts out, "What's going on?" Inari pushes a terrified Satsuki forward, urging her to reach out and pet the giant creatures. Her fear melts into curiosity as she reaches out to touch the massive wolf. As her fingers sink into that fur, she blurts out, "Oh my god, it's unbelievably soft like clouds." One wolf gently licks her cheek as the pups tumble and leap around her feet. Inari watches the joyful scene unfold and leans in to ask Satsuki, "So, did you name the pups yet?" Right next to one of the pups, Satsuki blurts out that she still hasn't named them yet. Inari jumps in, saying this is the perfect moment to finally name all four wolves. The proposal hits her out of nowhere, and she blurts a breathy gasp of pure shock. She shoots off a nervous question, "Is it really okay if I do this?" And a little pup barks right back like it's cheering her on. With a grateful nod, she clutches the honor to her chest and vows to turn that pure white fur into her next great inspiration. With a dazzling, hard-set grin, she declares, no questions, no doubts that she's made her choice. She names the boy pup Haku because he's white and the girl pup Yuki after the snow. The terrifying father wolf gets christened *Byakuya****, a name that means *white knight. A caring mother wolf is christened Shuratai, white cloth, as if fate stitched her identity right into the world. The instant she's done, the whole wolf family erupts in a dazzling surge of brilliant light. Sasaki shoots her hands to her eyes, gasping in total confusion as a blinding flash tears through the air. Inari just stands there, watching the whole spectacle unfold with a knowing, satisfied smile. When the light finally dies down, she freezes in stunned silence, her mind scrambling to make sense of what just happened. The The four wolves burst into view, now looking even more majestic, drenched in a soft, otherworldly glow. The two parent wolves dropped into a deep bow, swearing that from this day on, they'd be her protectors. With a sharp gasp, she realizes she can finally understand everything they're saying. Inari snaps his hands together, grinning as he congratulates her for finally gaining them as her familiars. She tries to wrap her head around what it really means to have familiars, and it's tearing at her mind. A little pup playfully pounced on her, cutting her thoughts short with a single, adorable demand: play with me. She snaps that they're in the middle of a major conversation, and they can't just barge in. The pup asks if she can understand every word it says, and she beams back, yes. Byakuya, the wolf of the pack, closes in on Inari and pulls him aside to talk in secret. Inari can't stop thinking about it. The sudden spike in monsters has to mean an ancient dragon is waking up. Byakuya leans back, eyes narrowing, and starts weighing the terrifying possibility that something truly dark is coming. Inari snaps to Satsuki, if that dragon finds out the former saintess is here, it's coming for her. Hearing that, Byakuya clenched his resolve and swore, right then and there, that he would protect their beloved child with his life. Inari finally accepts his vow and even makes him promise, do it just in case. He lets out a tired, heartbreaking sigh, watching his New Year's holiday plans collapse like a dream. He decides he has to go straight to the ancient dragon and greet it face to face. A bone-chilling wind shrieks across a towering, snow-covered mountain peak. The wind howls through the dark cavern, roaring like it's ready to swallow the whole world. Inside a massive horned dragon, something sleeps, coiled and silent for centuries, dreaming in the dark. A jolt of tension surges through its huge body as its eye cracks open. Another bright morning breaks, then a voice snaps Satsuki awake and begs her to step outside her stunning log cabin. Her big, white wolf familiar claws at her door and howls her name like it can't wait any longer. Under a thick comforter, a muffled sound bubbles up. She's starting to stir. Satsuki finally jerks herself upright in bed, rubbing her eyes sleepily as the calls keep pounding on. Now her dream log cabin was finished, and she truly believed life would finally feel easy. All dressed and ready for the day, she yawns, and finally admits her first guess was dead wrong. Nari tells everyone that the brutal winter snow is piling up, so the campsite and the tunnel are getting shut down. Satsuki beams as she greets her bigger pups, Haku and Yuki, then explains she's gearing up for winter. She flashes a warm smile and points out just how packed with energy the two of them are every single morning. Haku and Yuki, two bundles of energy and noise, straight up stare up at her, practically buzzing with excitement. She sits back and realizes the craziest thing. Now that she named her familiar, she can finally understand every word it says. Heading into the woods with an axe, she told them to fall back, then she started mowing through the trees. One pup ignores her, grinning as she points out a huge tree like, "Go on, chop that." That other pup snaps right away that this tree is wrong, and swears there's a better one just waiting. As her grass cutter roars to life, she can't help but feel their wild, boisterous energy like she's got two kids under her roof. The pups keep pestering her, demanding, "Are you done mowing the grass yet?" She exhales a satisfied sigh, and just like that, her work for the day is officially done. With a special tablet in hand, she magically swipes her grass cutter away like it's nothing. She plots a food storage right on the nearby slope, tucked close to the firewood shed. Her face softens into deep thought as she weighs how to stretch the wood as far as it can go. She spots a dusty old shed no one's touched in ages and immediately wonders, can I just drag this thing somewhere else? On her tablet's map, she spots a move button, and the building suddenly feels like it could shift at her command. A shock of realization flickers across her face as she starts to seriously think it might be true. She spots the shed on screen, grips it, and drags it to a fresh new spot. The physical shed jerked up and glided through the air, and it snapped her attention in an instant. She can't believe how effortless it is to move it, no rebuild needed, just pure convenience. With a satisfied grin, she decides the moved structure is going to be her firewood shed. She starts pulling out the bundles of firewood she's been hoarding in there, ready to put them to use. With the firewood finally cleared out, she plants herself and gears up for her next big masterpiece. Her mind races ahead, imagining the next big fixes, like a car shed and a stack of fresh wood waiting to be hauled in. But first, she bolts to set up the food storage facility before anything else. She faces a brutal, jagged uphill slope, ready to start her work and conquer it step by step. With the excavation power humming, she digs into the rock and carves out a cave with razor-steady precision. She leans in, measures the fresh cavern's depth, and nods. Yep, it's deep enough. Next, she fires off a groundwork technique that buffs the inner walls smooth and solid. With a thunderous asterisk boom, the cave mouth slams shut as a rock-solid wall of sturdy material snaps into place. A brand new wall snaps into place, and right inside it, a wooden door materializes out of magic, sealing the whole structure shut. She beams with pride and proudly announces that the firewood shed storage room is finally done. With a rush of excitement, she swings the door wide and barrels inside to inspect every inch of her brand new creation. A bright, happy shock lights up her face as she steps into the cool air. She blurts out, practically glowing, that the space is already perfectly cool and it's going to work like a dream. Alone in that empty room, she can't stop wondering, are the spirits actually helping her? She lets out a quiet chuckle, and a warm, bashful blush spreads across her cheeks like she can't help but smile. With open arms, she pours out her sincere, heart-on-her-sleeve gratitude to the dear spirits. She bursts into laughter at her own feelings like, am I really coming off this silly? The door to the brand new storage room clicks shut behind her with a soft, chilling finality. A mysterious shimmer suddenly bursts into existence from somewhere you can't even see. In another realm, playful spirits throw a raucous celebration because their beloved child finally praises them. Satsuki's eyes sharpen. She declares it's time to roll up her sleeves and get to work. She steps up and declares with pure relief that the work on her place is finally done. As the sun dips low, she decides it's time to hit the streets one last time for her final shopping trip. The story cuts to a massive, modern supermarket packed to the brim in the middle of a loud, bustling city. With a bright smile, she shoves the cart forward and starts tearing into her shopping for the day. She creeps into winter like a storm on the horizon, kicking things off with a massive 10-kilogram bag of rice. Then she dumps a bunch of bags of wheat flour onto her mounting stash of supplies. She grabs a couple huge logs of processed meat from the refrigerated section too. With a chunk of meat clutched in her hand, she decides that's got to be plenty to cover the groceries. A delicious scent drifts in, and she snaps her head around with a curious, sparkling smile. She spies that sauce in the bakery and can't take her eyes off the fresh bread sitting there, sizzling with delicious promise. She remembers she can even bake real bread using nothing but a plain old mess tin. That thought hits like lightning. Now he's craving pizza, and next thing you know, he's ready to build a whole pizza oven just for it. She shoves her card forward, hums a bright little tune, and gets wildly pumped about the new project coming her way. She keeps shopping at Canmart, a huge home and garden center packed with everything she could want. The store's interior is packed wall-to-wall with all kinds of household and cleaning supplies. She clicks the canister of gas into place for her portable stove. No shortcuts, just the kind of survival gear you can't afford to skip. Down another aisle, she races her eyes over a rack of patterned curtains, hunting the perfect cover for her cabin. Her eyes snap to a dog brush display hanging in the pet aisle. Satsuki grips a dog brush, smiling like sunshine, while she imagines a cuddly, fluffy friend waiting to be brushed. Her face snaps from calm to pure shock as she stands right by a tiny houseplant. Inside a huge store, rows of fresh, young fruit tree saplings stand lined up like treasures, ready to be bought. With one hand on the shopping cart, she can't stop wondering, will these saplings actually survive when they're thrown into the other world? Her face brightens instantly, sparked by the hopeful dream of growing her own fruit. Feeling bold, she grabs one of those tiny potted saplings, like, all right, let's see what happens, and goes to buy it. Right outside the massive Canmart home center, her little car is parked in the lot, just waiting. Inside her car, she slumps back with a delighted sigh and admits she totally splurged a little. She flips open a tiny notebook right after the shopping trip, double-checking that her money's exactly where it should be. A sudden thought hits her like lightning, she gasps, because she remembers she still has one last, crucial errand to finish. As she speeds off, she fires a reminder to herself, grab the firewood from Inari-san before anything else. The whole scene melts into a calm, rolling mountain view, with a partly cloudy sky drifting above like it's holding its breath. Her little car jolts and rattles down a quiet, tree-lined dirt road. She rolls up in front of a sleek wooden house, tucked deep among the trees like it's hiding a secret. She climbs out of her car, flashes a big smile, and greets the quiet clearing with a bright good morning. Her bright smile instantly disappears, and her face snaps into wide-eyed shock. A man in a sharp suit whips around and locks eyes with her, visibly stunned by her surprise arrival. A bright, polished smile lights up his face as he bows and formally greets Mochizuki-sama. She strides up to him, totally baffled, and blurts out what's with the suit, like, what's the special occasion? He lets out a tired sigh and admits he has to go meet that troublesome person. She offers her sympathy for his brutal task, and he grabs it without hesitation. Her smile drops fast, and she leans in, demanding to know why he's even here. She leans in and tells her straight up she's hunting for firewood, then asks, "Am I catching you at the right time?" Right as they start piling bundles of wood into her car, he jumps in and offers to help. She stares off, almost wishing she could bring her storage ability into this world, because man, it'd be insanely useful. He points out just how stacked her winter supplies are, like she's preparing for the season like a mission. She tells them she grabbed every last necessity, because this is her first winter in that place, and she's not taking chances. She slams the trunk shut and asks, worried, if all this firewood will truly be enough. He gently tells her it's totally okay to use it, just make sure she doesn't overdo it. He says it all boils down to how each person uses it, and he nods like, yeah, that actually checks out. With a confident grin, she boldly claims she's got the tools to make more of herself. Then it hits him he has to hand her something else, right now. He strides up to her, clutching a huge cardboard box like it's a prize, grinning from ear to ear. He pushes the box into her hands and tells her to grab it, then she snaps back, so what's inside? When the lid flips up, it spills out a huge stash of preserved food, winter supplies stacked and ready for anything. She lights up with pure gratitude, practically bursting as she thanks him, saying his thoughtful gift is going to help her more than she can put into words. He breaks into a warm smile as she offers her heartfelt thanks for everything he's done. Sitting in her car, she thanks him again, but he shrugs it off like it's nothing. As she pulls away, he leans out and waves hard, mouthing his wish for her luck. Her car vanishes into the forest path and he's left there, alone, frozen in place. His warm smile sharpens into steel as he yanks his tie into place, getting ready to face his meeting. Satsuki's car barrels onward down the quiet, tree-lined road, carving through the calm like it's got somewhere to be. While she's behind the wheel, she can't stop wondering, if Inari is a god, what kind of proper greeting would she need to give him? The scene suddenly whips upward, panning fast as if it's trying to reveal a colossal presence lurking just out of sight. A gigantic snow-capped mountain peak looms over everything, swallowing the whole landscape in its shadow. Inari stands alone on a barren, rocky wasteland, shrinking under the crushing weight of the sky. Staring up at that massive mountain, he lets out a defeated, "Oh my." He stares up at the towering peak, and it feels like the mountain is daring him to come closer. He trudges across a dead wasteland of skeletal trees, all under a blank, gray sky. Staring up at the looming mountain, he goes quiet, soul-deep and locked in as he weighs the fight waiting for him. He notices this strange phenomenon has erupted all across the land. Deep inside a cavern, the sleeping dragon's eye snapped open, blazing with sudden awareness. Inori rockets into the cavern, blazing with a brilliant, impossibly wide grin. The dragon stares him down through that narrow slit of an eye, and the utter lack of respect practically burns. Tons of copies of him cheerfully try to wake the irritated sleeping beast. The dragon's eye snaps wide open, and with one brutal mental command, it unleashes raw power. A brutal blast of power slams Inari backward, and he yelps like it's the funniest thing that's ever happened. He lands hard and blurts, "Now that you're awake, can you maybe hold your magic back?" Facing the massive beast, he calmly tells it, "Let's start over." He bows politely and introduces himself as Inari, smiling with total confidence like it never wavers. The dragon squints at Inari, wary as he leans in and asks if they can finally have a chat. The moment the ancient dragon awakens, it snarls at the strange visitor, demanding to know exactly who they are. It's basically saying this thing's got no effect on him. He's so unbothered you can tell he's not from this world. Inari steadies his nerve, says his name again, and gives the massive creature a sharp little bow. He finally rips the mask off, revealing he's the god from Satsuki's original world. The scene snaps over to Satsuki, and she's grinning as she fills her brand new home with decorations. Satsuki soaks up her calm, happy days, chilling with her wolf buddies in the most peaceful moment of her life. Flashback slams us back into the past, revealing how the former Santess and the ancient dragons forged a bond so deep it felt unbreakable. They stand shoulder to shoulder, blasting their way through waves of terrifying monsters. That same trial has proved it. Roaming the lands, he blasts away a nasty miasma and saves people before it can swallow them. Even with the heart of a hero, the Saintess still got betrayed by the very people she fought to save. A guillotine waits in the shadows, and the narration drops the twist: she was executed by mistake, a false death. The crown prince, her brutal fiancé, wears a smug, victorious grin like he's already won. The kingdom that betrayed her looms into view, its grim fate already locked in. Rage swallowed the ancient dragon, and it obliterated that kingdom from the ground up. Terrified that the world would end, a divine force called Ignos barged in to stop disaster. A brilliant burst of light flares up, showing the gods' world-saving proposal in all its unstoppable power. Ignas vowed to the dragon that its friend would come back one day, then urged it to finally fall asleep. Hanging on to the last scrap of hope, the ancient dragon finally crumpled into a deep, death-like sleep. Right now, the dragon bellows at the top of its lungs, roaring, "Did my friend come back?" Inari calmly told the frantic dragon to chill, but the dragon just snaps, refusing to calm down. The dragon snaps its head left and right, breathless with panic, demanding to know where she is. Inari cuts it off at the source, telling the dragon that searching is hopeless only to watch his frustration spike. He tells her straight up, since his world is magic-free, there's no way she'll ever be tracked down using that method. The dragon freezes, its reptile eye snapping tight as it fights to digest this brand new revelation. It scares her to death. If magic vanishes for good, how brutal is life going to be? Inari leans in and tells the dragon not to worry. He and Ignisama have everything handled. The dragon's tense body loosens in an instant, and real relief shows on its face as it finally hears the comforting news. Then it hits her with the biggest question of all, are you happy? The dragon shuts its eyes and with a calm breath fully accepts Inari's good report. It calls out the Ari by name and readies to drop a special request. It demands he rush over and hand her a special gift. A brilliant orb of light swirls in midair, then flips into a huge, silky white egg as it lands in his hands. Inari is left utterly dumbfounded, beads of sweat flying, stammering like his brain just froze. The dragon glares, roaring like a storm, as it claims it's been waiting forever for this exact moment. It snarls that he'd better deliver the egg, no excuses, because the threat in that tone is deadly. Inari doesn't even hesitate. She snaps into action, scoops the egg, and darts out of the cavern like a streak of fire. The dragon stares as he leaves, then whispers Satsuki's full name like a desperate promise, heavy with longing. A final memory flashes, where the saintess swears she'll protect the dragon in this life, no matter what. Her promise lingers like a living thread, snapping tight between who she used to be and who she's becoming. From a cozy log cabin hugged to the side of the mountain, a joyous singing voice spills into the air like music itself can't wait to be heard. Inside, Satsuki, this young spark of a girl, breaks into pure joy as she spots a brand new appraisal app on her tablet. She bursts outside, grinning, because the moment she aims her device at something, she can identify it like it's pure magic. She doesn't hesitate, she taps the app right now, dead set on unleashing this new power. Her phone lays out simple instructions on screen, telling her to aim the camera at the object and hit start. She breezes through the directions, clear, simple, and impossible to misread. With her heart racing, she stands in her yard and can't stop wondering what she should appraise first. Right then, two familiar white dogs tore out of the bushes and barked, like, "We're here, come on, let's play." A lightning-bright idea snaps into her head, and she swings the camera toward her two furry buddies. The dogs twist their heads in pure confusion, staring like, "Wait, is this some brand new kind of game?" With a sharp electronic asterisk ding, the appraisal finishes, and suddenly, one of the dogs is hiding some seriously surprising truth. Satsuki's jaw drops when she finds out her dog is straight-up part Fenrir, and somehow it can even sling magic. Her shock snaps into pure adoration, and she can't stop gushing about how insanely amazing her friends are. She beams with pure joy, grabbing one of them, Yuki, and lifting her high into the air like it's a victory celebration. A chainsaw and an axe lean against a tree stump, basically daring the day's next job to start. With safety goggles on her eyes, Satsuki rallies her dogs and declares that today's mission is making firewood. Two dogs lock eyes, utterly baffled by this mysterious firewood thing. She blurts out that it's something you burn, and the idea utterly stumps them, like they've never heard it in their lives. She points at the nearby shed and unveils the logs, cut down into smaller pieces. Chainsaw in hand, she snaps a warning, "Back up, because this job is way too dangerous." With a deafening VRZZZ, the chainsaw snaps to life, and it spooks the two excited dogs in an instant. Somewhere else, a different Satsuki and her dogs huddled tight, trembling from that horrifying roar. Satsuki's first one flinched with an apologetic smile and asked, "Are you sure it was really that loud?" The distressed dogs barked in panic, screaming that the noise was brutally loud and that their ears were ringing nonstop. A giant white wolf named Shirot barrels in, panicking out of his mind as he blurts, "Satsuki, are you okay?" Satsuki shot back that it was only the chainsaw, something she'd never even heard before. Shiro sizes up the chaos and tells them, "We can jump in and help with this task." Satsuki stared, stunned by the shockingly unexpected offer. The great wolf beckons her in and promises a show as he gears up to perform a full demonstration. He calmly jabs one mighty paw forward, pointing straight at a huge, uncut log. With one invisible flash of raw power, the log gets cleaved instantly, cleanly, and into perfect pieces. Sasuke was utterly stunned by what he just saw, and he blurts out, demanding to know exactly what happened. With a shaky little smile, she realizes, yep, this has to be that wind magic everyone was talking about. Shiro stays cool and asks, "Got any more logs for us to cut?" 3 more logs drop in, and she asks if he can take those on too. The wolf chops the brand new logs in a flash, and it's so effortless the whole job feels like nothing. Suzuki glares at her useless chainsaw, frozen in stunned silence as her mind drifts. She can't stop marveling at how powerful and useful the magic is, but a sharp guilt hits her hard for always needing someone to help. Shiro bows respectfully and snaps her attention right into place. He tells them to let the 2 younger wolves take care of it instead. Satsuki whips her head toward the 2 pups and demands to know if they can actually pull it off. They laugh and admit, "We're not 100% sure, but they're all in, ready to dive in and figure it out." Shiro leans in and tells Satsuki that this is exactly what they need, real magic practice, right now. She nods and hands the job over to the 2 excited pups without hesitation. With a wave and a bright goodbye, she sends them off with a rush of good luck as they bolt away to start their training. Charity steps in and gives the pups their first command: lock onto the wood and don't look away. While everyone's tied up with their tasks, Satsuki wastes no time. She plants the tree she just bought. In the clearing, a young sapling shoots upward, straining toward the bright, cloudy sky. She delicately sets a tiny wooden marker beside the sapling, declaring it, right there, that it's an apple tree. With a soft, warm smile, she coaxes the little sapling on, pushing it to stretch taller, stronger, and bigger. A flicker of doubt hits her face, and she freezes, replaying every word before she speaks. She tweaks her wish, begging it to grow, slow, steady, and in moderation, so nothing magical spins out into chaos. The pup's magic practice is a total mess, and Shiro calmly but firmly tells them to slow down and be way more careful. Realizing how hard they've been working, Satsuki decides it's time to spoil them with something absolutely delicious as a thank you. Inside her cabin, she snatches a block of ham from the refrigerator, convinced it'll be the perfect reward. She slices the ham with steady, careful precision on the cutting board. A sudden thought hits her hard, and she freezes, wondering if giving ham to dogs is really safe. She decides to corner one of them and ask, just to be safe, before she makes her next move. Outside again, she shouts to Shirotai, and he snaps his head around, eyes sharp with curiosity. She thrusts a plate of glistening ham toward them and asks, "Is it okay if we dig in?" 3 wolves lock onto the ham, eyes blazing with pure, unstoppable hunger. In the blink of an eye, Shiro explodes forward, demolishes the whole plate in one bite, and leaves Satsuki completely stunned. As Shiro declares the ham absolutely delicious, the 2 smaller pups burst into loud protest cries. Satsuki's cheeks burn as Shirotai confirms, without a doubt, that it really was totally fine to eat. One of the pups suddenly starts glowing, and you can feel raw power surge through him from the food's aura. Satsuki is totally dumbfounded. She swears up and down she only sliced the ham, nothing more. That other pup blasts out a furious complaint, screaming that the sudden power-up is completely unfair. Soon, the pack of wolves surges around Satsuki, snapping and clamoring for their own share of the ham. She barrels back inside, snatches her tablet, and starts digging into that weird phenomenon right away. The appraisal confirms it. This ham is blessed, and it can heal and restore any living creature's body back to full strength. She blurts out in disbelief, and it hits her at last. Her actions could change everything, and the weight of that truth lands hard. Her eyes sweep her whole homestead, from the log cabin to the fields and the packed sheds. Appraisal bubbles pop up for her apple sapling and the log cabin, and it turns out both are packed with special powers. Even a tiny solar garden light packs a monster-repelling punch that's way stronger than you'd ever expect. She grips her tablet, totally overwhelmed, blurting out that this is getting absolutely out of control. Her eyes lock onto the same recurring label, former scientist, popping up in appraisal after appraisal. A sudden spark of realization hits her. This strange title has to mean her. As winter rolls in, Satsuki spends a cozy day in the fluffiest way possible, brushing Shirotai's thick winter coat until it's pure magic. She stares in disbelief at the mountain of fur he's shedding. Another excited pup yanks her sleeve and won't let go, desperate to be next. With winter prep finally done, she beams and lovingly grooms her loyal companions. Her days are sweet and simple, and her growing wolf family keeps pressing in with warm, affectionate licks. She beams as she shoves a warm, freshly baked loaf into the spotlight, proving her new hobby paid off big time. She jumps into sewing with total focus, pouring her energy into mastering this brand new craft. She's absolutely in love with winter, snuggling up with her fluffy buddies like it's her favorite place on Earth. For New Year's Day, she tosses a block of mochi onto the flame, grilling it until it puffs up and swells in front of her eyes. She plunges that fluffy puffed rice cake into a tiny bowl of soy sauce. She wraps it tight in nari seaweed and takes her first bite like, let's see if this hits. She takes a huge, satisfying chomp of the classic New Year treat, like she's savoring the luck itself. With a soft, blissful smile, she sighs that the holiday just doesn't feel right anymore because Machi isn't here. She looks back on everything she's fought through, then smiles hard because she's finally welcoming the new year up there in her mountain home. She munches on dried persimmons, and instantly you can hear her light up. These are unreal. Chewing thoughtfully, she stares down at a tiny dark seed sitting in her palm like it's about to reveal a secret. She starts to wonder, if she plants that seed from the dried fruit, will it actually sprout? A spark ignites in her head, and suddenly she remembers the other seeds she's saving, pickled plum ones and canned cherry ones. With her motivation back in full force, she figures, why not, and decides to plant every single one of them. On a brutal winter morning, she yanks open the upstairs window of her cozy log cabin. A roar of wind and a blast of snow hit her the moment she steps outside. She shivers hard, pointing out how that sudden, brutal cold just slammed into the air. She stares out at the world beyond her window, then freezes in shock as a violent blizzard tears through the outside like it's furious at her. With a blizzard howling outside, a young woman stands there in total awe, because right around her house, everything stays weirdly calm. She realizes this has to be that barrier effect she spotted back in her appraisal app. Those fences, sheds, and bright new lights she put up have wrapped her whole homestead in a full-on safety dome. She remembers that barrier was so brutal even her own wolf companions got spooked and couldn't cross in. All alone, she can't stop worrying. Are Byakuya and the others safe out there in this raging storm? She pushes down her panic and tells herself the wild beasts are probably okay, but that worry refuses to leave. Suddenly, two massive white wolves tore through the snowdrifts, and as they showed up, they blurted out apologies right on the spot. Spotting one of them, she gasps and blurts Byakuya's name, utterly stunned. Yakuya shakes the snow off his coat and tells them straight up, this storm's gone too wild for them to keep fighting it. The other wolf asks if they can crash with her, and she pulls them in with open arms, warmly inviting them to stay. Behind the barrier, the wind rages in vain outside, and one lone wolf just stares in stunned disbelief. Satsuki beams and proudly declares that the crushing barrier is her handiwork, leaving her companion gaping in pure disbelief. Her focus snaps to two smaller pups too, both scrambling for shelter from the storm. She asked if they were okay, and they whimpered that the wind was brutal and freezing. With a tender smile, she cradles one pup and softly presses its fluffy cheeks between her warm hands. She breaks into laughter at its hilarious face, and the tension finally melts away. The two bigger wolves stared at the weird sky, their faces set in stone with pure seriousness. You can't help but wonder, could this wild blizzard be the ancient dragon stirring in the shadows? They can only nod and say, we'll just have to wait and see, while the storm keeps raging. A sudden spark jolts Satsuki, and she blurts out that she'll build a home where all of them can stay. She brushes off every protest with a grin, insisting that having a shelter means they can drop by any time they want. She glances at her tablet and grins. She stacked loads of lumber in KP, ready to burn through winter. Sure she can hammer doghouses fast, she gets ready to start, then the wolves go dead silent. One of the big wolves glances at the tiny doghouse like it's an absolute joke. Spotting her mistake, Satsuki viciously swipes through the other building options on her tablet. Her gaze snaps to a massive horse stable, and she instantly decides it's the perfect size. With a booming BAAM, the stable pops into existence out of nowhere, and the pups freeze in pure shock. With the grand doors thrown wide, she grins and ushers her friends inside, like the adventure is about to start. She sweeps her hand across the huge, silent room, inviting them into their brand new home. The pups tear around, squealing at how massive it is, while the adults stall, frozen with hesitation. Secretly, Satsuki's thrilled. If they stay here, she gets to cuddle and fluff their fur anytime she wants. One of the pups spots the perfect cozy spot, plops down like its treasure, and proudly declares, "This is mine." The other pup instantly snaps, shouting that this is totally unfair, and his face hardens behind a mask of pure, blazing indignation. With a loud huff, the second pup darts in and plops right down face to face with the first. Satsuki just smiles warmly as she watches them bicker and laugh, relieved to see they're genuinely happy. Two bigger wolves step in close, lower their heads, and thank her with deep, sincere gratitude for the shelter. She tells him to spread straw to make everything warmer and cozier, and the wolf instantly lights up and agrees with a huge enthusiasm. Right then, one of the wolves snaps its ear upright, and its face sharpens into instant alertness. Its eyes sharpen the moment it senses a presence it never saw coming. He whips the situation to Satsuki and snaps out a quick warning, something's closing in fast. A wolf suddenly rockets in front of her like a living shield, jolting Satsuki with its explosive, protective leap. Her throne jolts out of place and she gasps, screaming, "What's happening?" as sudden chaos erupts all around her. The wolf's face hardens as he growls that a stranger has smashed through the barrier. It orders her to back off while it charges ahead to meet the threat head-on. Alarm blares and Satsuki shoots Byakuya's name into the air, begging him to stop, just wait. Her eyes pop wide with shock as a lone figure pushes out of the swirling snow. A snowy stranger drops into view, clumps of ice stuck to him, and with zero hesitation he casually comments on the weather like it's no big deal. He grins and declares this place a real slice of heaven, and Satsuki instantly clocks him as Inari-san. That built-up tension snaps, and the two of them swap bright, polite New Year greetings like nothing ever happened. Yakuya's whole body finally loosened with relief once he realized the intruder was actually a friend. The two little pups are absolutely terrified of Inari, and she laughs it off as she soothes them. Satsuki shot Inari a sharp question, asking what he was doing here, because she was sure the camp shut down for winter. He grins at her and tells her he's got a gift waiting just for her. She studies him with sharp curiosity, then realizes, yep, he really is about to give her a gift. With a dramatic flourish, he reveals a huge, perfectly smooth, glowing white egg. Byakuya snaps to attention the second he spots the mysterious object. Sasaki demanded to know what that egg even was, while another wolf trembled under the crush of its overwhelming power. Inari can't stop wondering, what if its magic power is just way too wild for the wolves to handle? Proved his point, Haku and Yuki, the two pups, just drop and faint dead away. Satsuki snaps her hand out and shoves Inari away from the stable, barking, "Stay back." The wind screams around her log cabin as she tightens her grip and steels herself to finally face him. As soon as they're finally out of reach, she snaps, demanding answers for the chaos she just survived. He chuckles nervously, holding his hands up like, "I swear, I just stored the egg," and then admits he never saw the weather coming. His "just look at the weather" comment hooks Satsuki's curiosity instantly, and she can't help pressing him for answers. Henry slips the egg into Satsuki's hands, and she jerks back, shocked by how heavy and warm it feels. The instant her hands clamp around the egg, it erupts in a blinding surge of raw, powerful light. That brilliant flash detonates in the air, blinding Satsuki and swallowing everything around her. When the light fades, she freezes in confusion, then realizes the blizzard has finally stopped. Inari shrugs at the storm like it's nothing, then starts peeling off his coat. Satsuki stares at him, completely thrown off by how casually he's acting. He smiles and declares it's all good now, because the blizzard has finally passed. She's still trying to wrap her head around it, firing off, "What do you mean?" He pushes them to drag the egg inside the house, then they can harness its power without it wrecking everything. With a wicked grin, he says the egg's wild magic will be shut down inside, where it can't wreak havoc. She stares down at the thing in her hands, then snaps, asking him straight up what it is. With a laid-back grin, Inari drops the bombshell. This is an ancient dragon's egg. Satsuki mutters the words again and again in a daze, her mind scrambling to make sense of the impossible news. Her mind snaps to one wild question. Are we gonna regret this if I listen while you all scream at me not to eat it? As the storm finally fades for now, a heavy hush drops over the whole homestead. From the new wolf den, one of the wolves peeks out carefully, testing the world beyond. A bead of sweat slid down its face, and the shock from what just happened still had it trembling. Two wolves sit inside, and the terrifying magic at last calms down for good. One wolf tremblingly links the storm and the egg's magic to the ancient dragon's awakening. He confirms it's the real deal, and tells us the monster's recent moves are almost certainly tied to it. They peer out with worried eyes, hearts pounding, praying Satsuki-sama will be okay. Satsuki is beaming again, and just like that, her good mood comes rushing back full force. Inari flashes her bright smile and bursts into laughter, rolling right along with the moment. She smiles and ushers him into her cabin, offering tea like it's warmth itself, practically begging him to come in and escape the cold. He tries to slip out, but she clamps onto his arm with a grip so firm it stops him cold. With a razor-sharp glare, she demands he can't possibly walk away after leaving that suspicious egg with zero explanation. Nari overwhelms him with her sighs, and he finally agrees to step in just as she starts brewing tea. The moment he's inside, his friendly act evaporates. He freezes in total disbelief, staring at a torn, handmade cushion sprawled on the floor. He radiates pure menace as he storms up and calls Satsuki out for making yet another totally outrageous creation. She pouted through her apology, admitted she's still a total beginner, and begged him to forgive her lack of skill. He scrambles backward fast, flails his hands, and swears that's not what he meant. He tells them that the cushion has been transformed into a jaw-dropping, deeply blessed treasure. With her tablet app in hand, Satsuki checks the item herself. No guessing, no delays. A crisp digital ding bursts through the air, confirming his words are dead right, and she's stunned into silence. Inari sinks onto the glowing cushion and grins as it unleashes its monster-repelling fur, filling it to the brim with blessings. Clutching her tablet, Satsuki leans in and asks if blessings usually latch onto objects like that. She jabs at the screen, demanding to know what the title of the former sane test is supposed to mean. Inari freezes, totally rattled by her own direct, unexpected question. He throws his head back and groans in pure frustration, realizing he messed up again. Suzuki, thrown off by his wild reaction, blurts out, "What's wrong?" He groans over his own screw-up, realizing she'd naturally pick apart every single thing she could. He finally spills that Ignisama had shut him down and banned him from even talking about it. Satsuki mouths the unfamiliar name again and again, her curiosity exploding at this brand new piece of information. Inari finally realizes she hasn't told the most crucial detail yet. She nods and checks him, then wears a look that screams, "Go on, tell me everything." With a blinding grin, he finally starts unveiling the true identity of Ignisama. He breaks it down. Ignisama is the creator god of this other world. Sasaki freezes in total disbelief at the revelation, blurting out aloud, "Huh," like he can't even process it. She gasps at the twist, because she'd been sure Inari himself was the god. Inari lays out the cosmology with a sharp diagram, mapping exactly who owns which realm. His face turns stone serious as he braces to drop the truth, her identity revealed. He leans in and tells her, straight up, that Mochizuki-sama is the reincarnation of a legendary figure. He finishes his claim and drops the bombshell that she's the otherworld saintess. After a beat, they slide into calm silence at the table, and that revelation hangs there, heavy as a storm cloud. Sasaki drops her gaze, and as the jaw-dropping truth hits, shadow cuts across her face. With an awkward little chuckle, she finally blurts out that she'd already figured it out. She tells him the appraisal app spit out the clues she needed, and that's exactly how she figured it out. Then she demanded to know one thing, why the hell she got reincarnated into the real world. Inari admits he can't pin down the exact details, but he's absolutely certain there's a damn good reason behind it. Satsuki stuck out her lip, still dying to know the details that wouldn't let her curiosity rest. He pleads with her, begging her not to misread the creator god's heart for her. He admits Ignisama could have kept her there by force, but he chose to honor her will instead. The creator god leans in and says the only thing he wants is for her to find real happiness right here. Sasaki leans in, and as he speaks, her face melts from doubt into pure understanding. Inori casually drops that even her tablet was built by Ignisama, and it hits her like a truck because that revelation shocks her to the core. Suddenly, the huge white egg on the table twitches, and Satsuki jerks back, fully startled. She points at the suspicious egg and demands answers, and he nods, confirming it's the ancient dragon S. He drops the bombshell. Her old self was best friends with an ancient dragon. Satsuki repeats it again and again, shaking his head in disbelief, barely able to wrap his mind around what he just heard. He keeps going, saying her arrival in this world didn't just change everything, it woke the dragon. When he stepped up to greet the dragon, she cut right to the chase and ordered him to carry the egg to her. Satsuki's whole body jolts when she confirms the ancient dragon has finally awakened. Inari leans in and swears it's true, saying the dragon was never supposed to wake up, and it was waiting for her to come back. With fear in her eyes, she blurts out, "Is the dragon's awakening going to cause trouble?" Inari laughs it off and swears ancient dragons are gentle, way to make her claim impossible because she doesn't buy it for a second. She panics so hard she can practically see the dragon hurling flames and watch the world crumble under them. He shrugs and tells you to talk it out like friends the moment you two meet. The second she hears meet, her blood goes feral because she knows that dragon is heading straight for here. Inari calmly admits it like, yeah, this is probably it. He explains that the egg is probably a beacon, guiding the dragon straight to her. Then it finally clicks for Satsuki, and the full weight of what's happening slams into her like a punch. She thrusts the egg into Inari's hands like her life depends on it, pleading for him to take it back. To calm her down, he grabs her attention and tells her to look outside, because the sun is finally out. He tells you the dragon's finally in a good mood now that the egg has made it to her. In a flashback, he's fuming, complaining that the dragon's whipping around, stirring up a blizzard and ruining the delay. Satsuki's stomach drops as he realizes the blizzard was unleashed because of his late delivery. He brushes it off and tells them, I'm on a family vacation on a southern island. Inari laughs at the dragon's impatience, and that just pushes Satsuki's frustration even higher. He even offers to show her pictures from his trip, totally missing what she's really trying to say. With a bright grin, he declares he's out. Then Satsuki's frustration detonates as he yells his name. She stands on the porch, eyes locked on him as he disappears, her face set in unshakable seriousness. She can't wrap her head around it. How can someone this reckless be a god, and why does that terrify her for the real world? Later, Satsuki trudges toward the huge barn alone in the snow, her breath cutting the cold. Inside, she hurried to her two white wolf companions and demanded to know if they were okay. One of the wolves snaps the question right back to her, tense with worry over that terrifying magic. Satsuki leans in and tells them straight up, I've got no magic, so trust me, I couldn't feel a thing. The wolf cautiously cracks the next worry, like it's scared to say the words out loud. With a worried look, it asks if that egg is truly from the ancient dragon. Satsuki straight up confirms it, telling everyone she heard the same thing, so the wolf's suspicion instantly clicks into place. She reassures them, no need to panic, because the cabin's magic seals everything up and stops any leakage in its tracks. She decides to leave the egg inside the house, so nobody has to stress about it. With the threat finally under control, she calls them over and dares them to stay, just to warm up. The wolf's gaze melts with kindness as it offers her a heartfelt thank you. A peaceful, snow-draped forest lies under a calm sky, like the world is holding its breath. In the middle of the freezing winter wilderness, a humble log cabin glows like a warm sanctuary, ready to shelter whoever steps inside. After a while, Sasaki steps onto her balcony and marvels at how perfect the weather is. She blurts out a question, wondering if that ancient dragon is even in a good mood right now. As she powers down the steps, her mind darts straight to the world's most powerful key players. She rattles off the creator god, the ancient dragon, and the saintess like they're the biggest names in the world. That's when she finally slips into a quiet, gut-punching moment of clarity, realizing who she used to be. She's shocked by this brand new life, but she grips her tablet and starts hoarding everything she can. Her garden turns into a mystery the moment she makes a shocking discovery that cuts straight through her work. She can't believe it, somehow a seed pulled from a pickled plum has sprouted anyway. She drops to her knees, praying the other seeds she planted will sprout too. She strides toward the massive barn on her land. She peeks inside and wonders where her wolf buddies vanished to. A booming voice calls out to her the moment she steps deeper into the barn. She spots the huge white wolf, Shiro, and blurts out, "Where are the others?" Sasaki blurts out her worry, asking if the lone wolf's acting off. Charette leans in and tells her the truth. She's staying for a reason that's all joy, no regret. With a calm, unreadable smile, she shocks a stunned Satsuki, dropping the bombshell that she's pregnant. Sasaki is left utterly stunned, replaying every word in her head like she can't believe it. Her shock snaps into pure excitement when she confirms that Shiro is carrying a baby. Shiro sinks into a calm, confident nod, and with her eyes gently shut, she looks at peace. That news hits like a thunderclap, and a massive scream rips through the barn. Later on, a huge white rabbit sprawls in the grass, perfectly still. Yuki, the small white wolf, marches up with pride and hands Satsuki a rabbit as a gift. Sasuke leans in and praises Yuki for that insane catch, and the other wolves watch from the sidelines, puffed up with pride. Out of nowhere, Byakuyo, the pack's patriarch, hurls a massive bear down to the dirt with a bone-shaking slam. A younger wolf can't believe it. His dad just wiped the threat out with one single blast of wind magic. The young wolf cheers like crazy for his cool dad, stunned that he just took down a beast that big. Satsuki watches in shock as she realizes Byakuya is grinding just as hard, gearing up for his baby's arrival. Her eyes drift back to the rabbit, and a thoughtful calm settles on her face. She stares at the gift, already guessing if it's something she's allowed to eat. She chooses the safe route and taps her tablet to scan the creature. A quick scan on Satsuki's tablet labels it a horned rabbit, an edible monster with teeth and all. She freezes in total shock, staring as she realizes this isn't some ordinary rabbit, it's something way more dangerous. The sudden image of a hissing, horned rabbit slams into her thoughts, and fear explodes through her. She shrugs it off for now and taps her tablet, dropping the creature straight into storage. Satsuki finally snaps to it. If she wants that rabbit on her plate, she's got to process it first. On her tablet, brand new buttons pop up for the item: discard it, dismantle it, or sell it. She's utterly speechless at these brand new functions popping up out of nowhere. Satsuki stared at her storage stats and wondered, did I get these when it leveled up? Then she admitted she never even noticed. Her eyes light up with pure excitement as she weighs the dismantle command. Her curiosity spikes as her finger taps the screen's dismantle button. The function actually works. Then it tears the rabbit apart into components like its pelt, its meat, and even that magic stone. With joy bursting out of her, she spins on the spot, grateful as she offers her thanks to the god Ignisama. She clocks it instantly. When you ditch it, you get KP, but when you run it through cells, it's basically begging to spit out gold. Satsuki wipes out the junk she can't use and sells the parts that still have real value. Still not sure what that magic stone can truly do, she decides to hold on to it for now. No questions, just survival. She shifts her focus to the meat, eyes lighting up with raw hunger and sharp anticipation. She sets a steaming bowl of horned rabbit brown stew in front of you and murmurs a heartfelt prayer of thanks. She takes a bite, lights up, and swears it's delicious, more than good enough to be her food. After she finishes her meal, relief hits hard because she knows she can grab the supplies she needs up on that mountain. From her cabin window, she can't help but stare out, praying her companions will come back with more of them. After blasting through the land with her power tool, Satsuki decides she's officially done for the day. The giant white wolf, Shiro Tai, barrels up to her and thunders out a sincere thank you for all her hard work. Suzage asks if she should just rest, but Shuratai slams the idea down and insists she needs to get moving. Shurate suddenly blurts out that she's got something huge to talk about, something involving the local spirits. She tells him that ever since Satsuki showed up, the spirits have exploded in number on the grounds. Satsuki's jaw drops at this shocking twist she never saw coming. Shuratai drops the bombshell. Turns out the spirits have started fighting each other over who's getting the honor of helping Satsuki. She says the sheer crush of spirits and their non-stop roar is starting to become a real problem. Satsuki leans in, deep in thought, and decides the answer is simple: give the spirits more room to breathe and live. To win over the earth spirits, Shuratai pushes for one thing: plant even more trees right now. For the water spirits, she tells her to grow the pond bigger and carve channels that keep the water moving. And for the light spirits, give them more solar lamps, the ones they adore, and you'll keep the good vibes blazing. Shuratai decides the real long-term answer isn't changing anything else, it's expanding the grounds themselves. She tells him that everywhere else is drained of this place's life force, so the spirits have no choice but to flock here. Satsuki realizes she can't plan her future without first putting the spirits' needs front and center. Shiroti, she thinks, and suddenly everything clicks. She finally knows exactly what to do next. A calm log cabin sits there like a quiet mask, while at its very center, all that spiritual chaos is raging. Satsuki taps open the tree planting menu on her tablet, buzzing with readiness to start planting right away. With one quick tap, she summons a brand new sapling out of magic and drops it straight into the earth. She plants a perfectly straight row of fresh saplings along the dirt road. Then her gaze snaps to a tiny pond tucked on the property, lined with smooth little stones. With a flick of her gift, she starts digging, and the pond swells bigger and bigger, straight from magic. Her two smaller wolf buddies peer in, heads tilted, as she digs in with a shovel. After she conjures a tiny stream, she skips in delight and teases one of the thrilled wolves. She keeps growing the grounds, mowing the grass flat, and chopping down every last tree in her way. Before she can even blink, time rockets forward, and the calendar screams, it's already March. Finally, the tunnel that links her to the other world has roared back to life, after all this time. She blinks, and suddenly she's back in the middle of civilization, right in front of a massive modern store. Inside, her heart races as she spots stacks of snacks and fresh new products she's never seen before. After a brutal winter, she can't fight it anymore. Sweets call her name. Sasaki weighs a big, bold idea, buying solar-powered garden lights in bulk for her homestead. She stuffs a huge bag with rice, loading up on the essentials she'll need to keep living strong. Rows of shelves stand stuffed to the brim with all kinds of goods, screaming just how overflowing this store really is. She shoves her cart down the fresh food aisle, and for one blazing moment, the bright food hits way harder than the grim life she lives. With her shopping finished, she swings into a cozy little restaurant through its traditional entrance. A gorgeous dessert lands on the table, dark pudding crowned with glossy sauce. She takes a bite and lights up, saying it feels amazing to finally eat out after all this time. An idea hits her like lightning. She decides to swing by Anarison's place on her way back. That empty plate screams one thing. She devoured every bite of her well-deserved treat, and she loved every second. She strides up to a sleek modern wooden building. That's where the anirecap's office waits. Inari beams at her from the reception window as she climbs the steps toward her. He leans in and tells her the timing is perfect, then reveals he's got a piece of mail just for her. She's stunned when she spots the envelopes from her old company. Inari guesses it's probably for her year-end tax tweaks, and that answer hits her like a bolt out of nowhere. Suzuki's stomach drops as panic hits. He's terrified he won't file his final tax return before the deadline. Seeing the panic in her eyes, Inari stays calm and steps in. She'll take care of the whole process for her. She's left speechless, staring at his generous offer like, "Are you sure it's really okay?" His face hardens with unsettling intensity as he swears he'll take care of it, smoothly, no trouble. The video spins back to the plain camp office, showing its exterior one more time. With her business wrapped up, Satsuki waves Inari goodbye from the porch. Her tiny car rattles and clunks down the dirt road as she drives back toward the mountain. She's lost in thought, realizing that even a god has a brutal time matching every detail between two worlds. Her car rolls up to the dark, arched stone tunnel entrance. Inside the tunnel, absolute darkness swallows everything, until one blazing light at the very end cuts through like a promise. Suddenly, a brutal blizzard erupts out of nowhere, swallowing her car and burying it in a wild wall of snow. The car screeches, fishtails, and fully loses control on the road that turns icy out of nowhere. The camera zooms in as the tires spin out, helpless, on the slick surface. She grips the wheel so tight her knuckles ache, swinging the camera around as panic screams in her chest, like she's about to meet her end any second. From her window, she watches in disbelief, as even the mountain sky flips so fast it feels impossible. She tilts her gaze upward, and her breath catches when the sky snaps into perfect clear blue sunshine. A dark suspicion starts creeping into her mind as she pieces the events together. She storms back to her log cabin in a full-on rage and slams the car door like it owes her money. Inside, she lunges forward and snatches that huge white egg, frustration blazing in every move. She rages and shakes it hard, snapping at it for whipping up a blizzard just because she stepped away. Her fury cracks through the cabin walls as she snaps, "Never do that again." Elsewhere, a monstrous black dragon lets out a heart-wrenching whimper that sounds like it's begging to be saved. The dragon tells itself, "I wasn't trying to be angry, I was just worried." It laments how, the moment she left, her presence vanished from the world like it was erased. The moment she was gone, that powerful creature snapped with pure, crushing frustration. It grinds at the fact it can't reign in its runaway magic, and it's desperate to see Satsuki soon. Satsuki trudges up to the huge barn on her land, her eyes fixed on the snow like it's hiding a secret. She sneaks a peek inside, eyes searching, and asks Shuratai if she's really okay when that sudden snowfall hits. Her eyes snap wide in shock when she lays eyes on what's waiting for her inside. Shuratai has just given birth, and 3 tiny, adorable puppies are snuggling up together, nuzzling as if they're already best friends. Satsuki's whole face lights up with pure joy when she realizes she's got triplets on the way. Kneeling right beside them, she beams at the new mother and congratulates her for a job that was absolutely perfect. The pack's other wolves start whispering like, "Wait, does this mean we're big siblings now?" A peaceful view of the log cabin flashes on screen, and you can feel her finally coming home to the place she calls her main safe haven. Sasaki shuts the door with a grin, practically swooning over the adorable surprise triplets. She snaps her focus back to the other possible birth, eyes narrowing with deep, hungry thought. In her snug log cabin, Satsuki can't stop pacing, wondering when that huge white egg is finally going to crack open. She grunts and strains, trying to haul that shockingly heavy object up off its spot by the fireplace. A wild theory kicks off. The egg isn't a miracle at all. It's just a magical GPS the gods dropped in place. Still convinced she's right, she gives a quiet, knowing chuckle. Her laughter gets ripped apart by a brutal crunch, then a scaly foot smashes through the shell. Her smile snaps off, and panic floods her face as she realizes the impossible sound is real. She gapes at the fresh hole, stammering, "No way is it really hatching." More cracks race across the egg's shell as it starts to shatter for real. A tiny, chubby baby dragon pops out, stretches those wings wide, and blasts a thunderous roar that shakes the air. Outside the cabin, an alarmed shout suddenly bursts in, proving that something really has emerged. Soon, the purple baby dragon freezes in front of Satsuki and begs to be picked up again. Even with the work in her way, she gives in, reaches out, and scoops up the bright little chirping creature. Holding the brand new arrival in her arms, she can't stop asking herself what she's even meant to do next. A flashback bursts open and shows the ancient dragon egg hatched right when Shordai's triplets were born. The baby's cries were so loud and fierce that even the peak of the mountain couldn't ignore them. After trying and failing a bunch of times, she finally figured it out. When you give it store-bought milk, it happily drinks right up. That plain little meal finally calmed the creature down, and Satsuki could finally breathe again. Ever since that breakthrough, her days have been nonstop. She's stuck doing care after care without a single break. She's been running on pure willpower for days, tending that demanding little troublemaker nonstop. The tiny dragon even hops onto her head while she works, yawning like it owns the place. Satsuki finally admits it. No matter how hard she tries, she's getting painfully attached to it. She lifts it up, points to its parent, and decides, right then, to raise it herself for now. She hoists the dragon in a sling and double checks, making sure the pouch isn't cinched too tight. On her porch, she leans in close and cheers for the tiny creature. Learn to fly soon, okay? Now she's finally clocked it. Her new charge is a real disaster waiting to happen. That tiny dragon's magic hits harder than it ever did back when it was still an egg. Because of this power, the Byakuya wolf family snapped into retreat and vanished up to the mountain's summit. Satsuki breaks into tears, sniffling that she wanted to cuddle the wolf triplets for way longer. She leans in and tells the dragon, softly but firmly, that it has to learn to tame its magic, just a little better. Her eyes snap to a cherry tree, so impossibly huge, it looks like it sprouted out of thin air overnight. As she strolls under blossoming branches, pure wonder floods her heart. On her tablet, a map lights up with her bold plan to carve out a cherry road. She decides, fine, let's turn this place into a real fruit orchard. Her tablet guzzles so much KP that it drives her absolutely crazy. A wild idea hits her out of nowhere, and she stops dead in the middle of the path. She finally gets it, planting by hand burns through no KP, unlike the tablet, which just spits out instant results. Riddled with regret, she breaks down in tears, begging herself she'd known this before she ever planted the cherry road. Her despair gets yanked to the surface when the tiny dragon waddles over and keeps tapping her, demanding food like it's an emergency. She steadies her nerves, strokes the creature's fur, and asks right to its face if it's hungry again. After stuffing its face, the tiny dragon curls up on a cushion and drifts off to sleep, peaceful as can be. Sasaki watches, eyes widening, as the monster gulps down every last drop of milk, gone already. With their supplies running dry, she grabs her resolve and declares it's shopping time. At the market, she scrutinizes the saplings one by one, swearing she'll never make the same mistake again. She slides the card forward, eyes narrowing as she figures out exactly which seeded fruits she can use. Her shopping cart fills up fast, brimming over with carton after carton of milk. She stares at her haul, brow furrowed, and can't shake the thought that she might have overdid it. That rattling cart keeps reminding her one terrifying truth: this weather isn't cooling down, it's only getting hotter. She realizes she may seriously have to think about finally getting a refrigerator. Up on her mountain, the sky cracks open with clear blue light, and the bright day is finally perfect for planting. The shovel bit in with a satisfying thunk, carving deep into the rich, dark soil on her property. Standing next to the fresh saplings she just planted, she beams and says the job is finally done. Her map shows fresh saplings, sprouting along both sides of the stream. She grins wide, already daydreaming about the moment it'll finally look like a real, thriving little orchard. Passing a young tree, she lifts her tablet and takes a breath, replaying how far she's come. She's convinced she's finally tamed the whole space around her cabin, shaping it into something she's proud of. Her curiosity drags her gaze past the familiar, straight toward the farthest corners of her massive land. Byakuya, the great white wolf, bursts out of the woods, ready to greet the day with a morning wish. She apologizes for the hassle, but he just shakes it off, saying the dragon's magic is straight up incredible. She leans in close and tells him, "Don't worry, our little dragon is still curled up, fast asleep for now." Satsuki jumped at the opening and asked Byakuya if he'd join her to explore. The majestic wolf swivels his head, then nods with calm confidence and agrees to her request. Soon she's sitting snugly on Byakuya's back as he charges through the forest at a smooth, loping pace. Her tablet's map just dies mid-screen, and for a second she's totally lost. She's stunned when she realizes the map only shows the land she actually owns. Byakuya smiles coolly and tells her, "All right, we're coming out of the forest now." They burst out into a huge stretch of rolling hills, with jagged mountains looming on the horizon. Stunned by the jaw-dropping view, Satsuki blurts out, "Man, the world is huge." She whips her head toward her companion and asks, "Is anyone else living around here?" Byakuya admits it, sometimes he spots people, but their homes are so far off that it's almost unreal. Satsuki practically glows when she finally gets it. This other world is definitely full of real people. She bursts into laughter and promises that she'd totally love to meet them again someday in the future. Byakuya drinks in her cheerful words in silence, staring with a face that gives nothing away, just sharp thoughts turning behind his eyes. Satsuki then leans in and demands they show her the side of the property that's across from the log cabin. He nods along, then tells her, "Hold on tight, this is a long way." Without warning, he explodes forward and slams her back hard. Clinging on like her life depends on it, she screams that he's going way too fast. He misreads her panicked stumbles as a hint, then demands to know if he's dragging too slow for her. Right as she's about to stop him, he blurts out that he's going to push even faster. Her terrified scream whips behind them as they streak into the sky, shrinking to a blur. He slams to an abrupt, earth-shaking stop, pounding his paws into the ground. He turns his head with calm confidence and declares, "We're here at last." Satsuki clings to him with shaky strength, pressing her face into his thick, comforting fur as if it's the only thing holding her together. Chattering through her teeth, she still couldn't stop trembling from that terrifying ride, and she squeezed out a heartfelt thank you. Still wobbling, she hops down and blurts out apologies for how she looks, while Byakuya just watches her. They're perched on a ridge, staring down at a grim, unsettling wasteland that feels like it's waiting to swallow them. A choking, sluggish river slithers through the blighted valley like a permanent scar. Satsuki squints into the gloom, shielding her eyes as murky water swallows the light and the forest ahead looks pitch dark. Dread crashes over her as the truth finally clicks, and she realizes what's eating the decay from the inside. Byakuya finally voices the fear she'd kept buried and admits it's all because of the miasma. Satsuki hears that weird term and grills the answer, then he confirms it's real, the miasma. He blurts that the stuff is pure poison, spat out by monsters like the Black Viper. This miasma drives spirits back in terror, and the land itself starts to wilt, turn, and die. With a grim stare, he figures it could take centuries before the land can heal itself. Satsuki's face tightens with fierce resolve as she listens to his grim explanation. With pure grit in her voice, she asks Byakuya if they can go take a closer look. He nods instantly, no second thoughts, and charges forward with her, ready to plunge straight into the blight. They push into the withered forest, and Satsuki clings to the great wolf's side for protection. She spins in place, taking in the dead silence and ruined emptiness, and gasps that everything's turned completely withered. She leaned in and grilled Byakuya, asking if fixing the area could bring it right back to how it used to be. He stares at her, thoughtful as all hell, and finally admits he's not even sure it can actually be done. Satsuki stands alone in a barren forest, tapping her tablet as she confirms this empty stretch of land is officially hers. Byakuya, her wolf companion, stares ahead and thinks Satsuki, the spirit's beloved, might be the only one who can bring it back. With a fierce, determined grin, she refuses to let her mountain stay like this. She stands side by side with Byakuya, chin up, and declares she's going to forge the withered land into something new. A huge shot spills across a dead, bleak land, an empty valley packed with skeletal trees that look like they've been lifeless for ages. With a quick snip from her tablet's cut function, she goes for a dead tree and tries to harvest it. Her expression drops into shock. Confusion hits hard because she realizes the corrupted wood is completely worthless. The cut command just won't work, so the withered tree and its stump stay untouched, totally intact. She trudges through the dead, barren woods with a tablet clutched in her hand, sizing up every deadly detail of the situation. She glances at her tablet's map, and boom, it screams that she's hit the edge of the no-signal property. Realizing her KP is running on fumes, she slams the brakes on her development work for now. Walking with Byakuya, she can't stop thinking about what she'll plant in the freshly cleared land. Staring at her map, she realizes she has to lock in a real base of operations first. No shortcuts, no distractions. To keep monsters from crawling out, she casts magic and snaps up a towering, rock-solid wooden fence. She only levels the ground inside the fence, so she can hoard every precious KP. She snaps together a basic wooden hut on the spot, building shelter fast before the elements can get her. A sudden jolt hits her, and the truth lands hard. She absolutely has to find a toilet right now. She lets out a breath of relief, grateful she had the foresight to stash a portable toilet. She flashes a triumphant, fanged grin and declares, loud and proud, that the new setup has finally nailed it. She and Byakuya stand tall inside their freshly finished, sun-baked land base. Inside the base, she pauses, eyes sharp, and starts plotting her next move. She stares at the dead, barren ground and wonders, can anything possibly grow from soil this cursed? In her mind, she plots a wild experiment, planting a fast-spreading herb to see what happens. A map pops up with her next job. She's set to smooth out that rough path from her log cabin, step by step. She decides that next time they run into each other, she's going straight to Narasan to get answers about their next move. Bikuya cheerfully offers to carry her there, and she gladly accepts his help right away. The great wolf suddenly freezes, one sweat drop beads on his brow as his thoughts race, weighing whatever's about to happen next. He admits he'll only show up if the ancient dragon's baby is already out. He jerks in sudden terror, stammering out an apology like something unseen just snapped into the room. Satsuki, alarmed by his reaction, grabs his attention and demands to know what's wrong. He tells everyone he just heard a bone-chilling scream rip out of her log cabin. A tiny baby dragon erupts in a massive, ear-splitting tantrum right inside the cabin. Panicked, Satsuki realizes she has to rush back, and Byakuya wastes no time, agreeing to take her. Back at the cabin, her baby dragon giggles and scrambles right up onto her head, climbing like it owns the place. She tries to lure the wild, unruly creature into her backpack before they're off on their quick trip. With a tired sigh, she asks the little dragon to finally try behaving better. She swings open the storage shed door, itching to grab the supplies she needs. With her tablet in hand, she makes a quick mental promise to grab more gas for her stove ASAP. She keeps staring at the blank, empty kitchen in her cabin, wondering how on earth the locals manage to cook with nothing but their wits. Tire squeals snap her attention as a car suddenly pulls up to the cabin, catching her completely off guard. Inari-san flings herself out of the driver's window with a huge grin and calls out, wishing everyone a great morning. He leans in and tells her he's here to report that her tax processing is finally finished. His eyes snap straight to the tiny shrimp that just hatched from the egg. Satsuki flashes a bright grin and confirms that yes, it's fresh out of its shell, just hatched moments ago. Inarisan leans in hard, and the baby dragon's mind-blowing magical energy practically hums in the air. Satsuki steps straight into his space, blasting in his face that she knows the problem full well. She tells her how Akuya and the others forced that power out of it, driving it all the way to the mountain summit. Tears stream down her face as she pleads with him, begging him to tap into his divine powers and fix this. A grumpy, unimpressed frown sits on the baby dragon as she peeks out from her backpack. It starts thrashing wildly, and Inari can only stare as the whole place erupts in chaos. Inari snaps at the creature, telling it to stop yanking her hair and stirring up trouble. He warns it that its master, the ancient dragon, will rip into it for this behavior. Chastened, the baby dragon obediently curls up again inside the backpack and settles in. Inari turns to Satsuki and thanks her for all the grind, fully seeing that daily exhaustion she's been carrying. Then he leaned in and asked, straight up, if it was okay for him to name the little one. She asks if that means it could turn into her familiar, and he tells her, yeah, it just might. The baby dragon's eyes practically glitter with excitement, thrilled at the thought of getting a name. Satsuki's eyes widen as she realizes the creature can pick its own familiar and somehow chooses her. Inari looks at the chaos and thinks, raising a dragon, this is massive work and it's gonna be a nightmare. He starts pitching what it can do, like how it lets him breathe fire on command. He says just having it, there will be all it takes to scare every other monster off. Satsuki decides that usefulness or not, she can't just keep it around without giving it a real name. That tiny dragon is shaking with excitement as she starts to lock in on just one idea. Her first suggestion, Kuro, earns a brutal, grumpy frown, pure disapproval from start to finish. Inari lets out a chuckle like, uh-oh, because the dragon clearly isn't feeling that name at all. Her second pick, Nero, gets shot down the same way, with a sharp, dismissive huff that shuts it instantly. She pauses for a beat, and that dragon keeps staring at her, eyes blazing with desperate hope. She leans in and pitches Noir, and the creature instantly falls in love with the name. Satsuki's eyes go wide when the dragon bursts into an insanely happy, all-positive reaction, like it can't believe it, either. A brilliant burst of light detonates from the creature, jolting her in full shock and making her stumble back fast. She stares in pure shock, whispering, "No way, this can't be real." Inari snaps into the moment and confirms it's her familiar, and the little thing chirps her name like it's thrilled to be hers. She gives Noir a proper greeting, and Noir shoots back with a booming, cheerful, "Yeah." She blurts out that once he figures out how to breathe fire, he's helping her cook. Inari grins and blurts, "So what are you cooking with dragon's fire?" She tells him her log cabin has a kitchen, but zero cooking equipment to use. Inari blurts out, shocked, "Wait, are you serious? That's really what happened." A glance around the totally empty kitchen space seals her claim for good. He explains, in this world, gas lines don't exist, so a normal stove is straight up impossible. He suspects that cabin was ripped straight from the real world, then dropped in here with nothing added, not a single local amenity. She whips out her portable stove and grumbles nonstop about how much of a pain those gas canisters are. He unveils the perfect answer, a magical stove that'll get the job done. He breaks it down. It's powered by magic stones, and adventurers and the rich both use it. Satsuki's eyes instantly sparkle as a memory hits. She's got a magic stone right there with her. She tells Yuki that it came from the horned rabbit he brought her. She summons a glowing orb right out of her storage, holding it up so he can see it. All fired up, she's about to dash out and buy one on the spot. Then he shuts her down and tells her she can't. She's totally lost, blurting out why not. Then he just shrugs and tells her to think it through. He leans in and tells her straight up, if she wants to shop here, she'd better get local currency first. He adds that she doesn't even know where to track down a proper developed town to buy one. She mutters under her breath, then finally buys his idea, deal with clearing a path to the town first. Then she demanded a map, one that showed everything beyond her property's border. He points out a feature on her tablet that she still hasn't unlocked. He tells her this is proof she hasn't stacked up enough total KP yet to unlock it. She stares at her tablet, utterly crushed by the KP it says she's missing. A scoreboard flashes her KP total right there on screen, 21,986. Then bam, the number pings and rockets up to 22,032. She's totally stunned, staring at her KP like, wait, why did it just jump on its own? Inari demanded to see her tablet so she could hunt down what was going on with that weird incident. He grins and tells him it's happening because the number of spirits around here has skyrocketed. A young woman inquires whether her KP spikes as the number of spirits multiplies, turning to a man in a plaid shirt like it's the biggest question in the room. As she pushes into the wild and carves out a new beginning, an ethereal glow swirls in, spirits flock in to boost the fertility of the land and push her KP higher. She nods and makes it clear, as long as spirits are still around, her KP will keep rising automatically. She's over the moon with this fresh info, clutching her tablet like it's gold, and blurts out that the whole system is absolutely incredible. Her companion gives her a sharp little jab for never checking her KP breakdown, and shame hits so hard she looks away. She changed the topic and shot her companion a question, so how's your own groundbreaking work coming along? He remembers she had something urgent she wanted to run by him. Elsewhere, a tiny, shadowy dragon creature curls up in a cozy little bed and lets out a massive yawn. Her tablet map flickers with her current mission. She's blazing a trail up the mountain's north side, and she realizes she can't do it without a vehicle. She tells him her car always ends up getting scratched, and she can't just keep banking on Byakuya to drive her around. Her companion totally gets it, so she points straight to what she wants, a 50cc motorcycle, right in line with her license. He's stuck on this wild, hilarious idea that someone out there is riding a bike in a totally different world, and it feels so surreal it almost breaks his brain. He promises to track down a used bike for her right away, so he goes straight to one of his regular customers, an absolute bike enthusiast. The very next day comes crashing in, and it brings a shocking twist nobody saw coming. A spotless scooter suddenly rolls into view, and the young woman can't even breathe, because he already found one for her. The man tells him straight up, this thing was the regular's niece, and she was gearing up to sell it. She inspects the scooter, stunned that it looks almost brand new, even though it's clearly used. He adds that the niece had nowhere to stash it, so this lightning-fast sale ends up being a win for everyone. He proposes docking the money from her paycheck next month, and she jumps at the plan without even hesitating. He hands her a massive bundle of mixed seeds, and she lights up instantly with pure, overflowing delight. Her companion shoots her a startled look, worry creeping in like, "Why are you this hyped about getting seeds?" She lights up and tells me she's been swamped lately, growing every kind of seed she can get her hands on. The scene cuts to a towering, fully grown plum tree, its branches dripping with snowy white blossoms. His face twists into a raw storm of shock and disbelief as he lays eyes on the tree. In a voice that shook like it might snap, he demanded to know if that giant tree really sprang from just one pickled plum seed. He pushes harder, demanding to know if she also planted the seeds from dried persimmons and canned cherries. She beams and says she planted them purely as a test, and she's still shocked they actually sprouted. Her companion erupts in fury, yelling that there's no way they should have been able to grow at all. A diagram lays it all out. The miracle unfolds as her blessings, the former saintess, force that dead seed to sprout. She blurts out with a nervous laugh that she couldn't help thinking it was weird too when those seeds actually sprouted. They both stare up at that miraculous tree, and he can't help but mutter, "This other world is unreal." The camera lingers on a calm, breathtaking sight, her huge modern log cabin tucked deep in the mountains like a secret sanctuary. Inside, Noir, the tiny black dragon, was curled up tight, fast asleep in a cozy bed right beside the fireplace. A tight close-up catches Noir passed out cold, breathing slow and steady, while a little bowl of water sits right beside him. Outside the window, a crystal-clear sky stretches on, while fluffy white clouds drift and glide past like they're racing for something. Her little car and brand-new scooter sit, perfectly lined up outside the cabin. The young woman can't wait to tear around on her brand-new bike, the one she just got. She's dead serious. Her very first priority is carving a path straight to the withered land base. Her heavy-duty brush cutter roars to life, the blade spinning like a storm as it rips through thick grass and tangled undergrowth. She yanks out her tablet, fires a logging command, and watches a tree stump get sliced away like it's nothing. She stuffs the leftover stumps into her storage first, then slams the destroy button to wipe them out. Her grind pays off in a blaze of glory. She carves a perfectly straight, crystal-clear trail right through the savage, tangled forest. As she strides along the new path, she realizes her KP is climbing, but she's got to scramble for gold to get that stove. She decides that if she's going to pull it off, she'll have to dig up something valuable, something she can sell. A thin, high-pitched giggle suddenly slices through the air, and her whole body snaps to attention. She freezes mid-step, spins around, and scans the silent woods, trying to pin down exactly where that sound came from. A bead of sweat rolls down her cheek as she tugs her cap into place, staring like, "Wait, did I just hear that?" That eerie laughter ricochets through the trees again, and she blurts out, half sure, half doubting, did she really just hear it? She jolts, confirms it with a snap of certainty. Yeah, she really heard it, and it wasn't her imagination. Suddenly, glowing light orbs start tearing out of nowhere and popping into existence all around her in the tall grass. Dozens of shimmering, giggling orbs fill the air, swirling around and dancing like they own the moment. Overwhelmed and terrified by that strange phenomenon, she gasps out, "What is that light?" As she laughs with them, those mysterious lights swirl around her, and the whole scene hits her like a jolt, strange, shocking, and impossible to ignore. The orbs finally break their silence, gushing that she's the beloved child, and cheering because she's noticed them at last. They spin around her more and more, cheering like crazy for their precious child, and it leaves her completely baffled. Panic hits its breaking point as she clamps her eyes shut and unleashes a scream, demanding answers for what the hell is happening. A booming command roars from a giant beast's throat as it barks at the spirits, telling them, in no uncertain terms, to get lost. Those glowing orbs explode the moment they appear, scattering in a blink and dissolving into shimmering sparks of light. The young woman jolts upward, relief and shock crashing into her as the sudden rescue hits. A majestic white wolf by Akuya stands right in front of her and with unnerving calm asks if she's all right. She lunged into a grateful hug and poured out her thanks for pulling her out of the crushing spirits. As she squeezes him in a hug, a jolt of realization hits. Those glowing orbs aren't magic at all, they're spirits. 3 spirits suddenly take faint humanoid form, and they're rushing to apologize, saying they got carried away by their own joy. She demanded a clear answer. Then they joyfully, in perfect harmony, cheered back that they really are all spirits. Bakuya bursts out that she's finally mastered sensing them, and now she can catch their whispery voices, faint but real. Satsuki stared at the fading spheres of light, and a whole new truth finally clicked into place. Bakuya clocks the huge crowd, and Satsuki admits she couldn't stomach the idea of them clinging to her. With a soft, unshakable smile, she steels herself and vows to make room for more spirits to finally call home. She dives right back into it. Her brush cutter screams to life, mowing through the tall grass like she's on a mission. The spirits swarm all around her now, no longer haunting her, more like a non-stop crowd of tiny cheerleaders lifting her up. She blurts out, confused and hooked, wondering why she keeps hearing that eerie name, beloved child. A spirit steps in and flat out confirms it. Yes, that beloved kid really is the beloved kid. She smiled politely and told them, "From now on, call me by my real name, Sasuke." With a blinding flash of light, the spirits instantly snap into action, cheering wildly as they happily grant her request. They burst into a wild, ecstatic chant of her name, and it instantly grates on a smaller fox-like creature nearby. Satsuki squints ahead, a jolt of surprise snapping through her, her job done for now. She stands at the gate of the withered land base she built earlier, staring it down like it owes her answers. Wild, tall grass rustles and sways outside the fence line, dancing with every gust of wind. She lets out a breathless sigh of relief and tells her companion, "We made it, our destination is finally here." A tiny, wolf-like creature beside her pants hard, looking utterly drained. Sasuke demanded what was wrong, and the creature snapped back that the oppressive miasma was still choking the air here. She asks if it's really that bad, and he reassures her, saying it's totally fine as long as it stays close to her. Satsuki and her companion brace themselves and rush toward the safety of the fenced-in base. Once the creature gets inside, it prances in pure delight, practically gushing about how amazing the purified place feels. She finally exhales, relieved that her protective barrier held exactly like it was supposed to, and that the whole area is safe. Out of nowhere, she looks down, and there it is, water on the ground, totally unexpected. Water erupts from the ground like it's alive, splashing into a puddle that swells fast and bigger every second. She panics, clutches her tablet, and blurts out to whoever's listening that the weird phenomenon has to wait, just for a moment. The excavation ability carved out a pond in full bloom, and now it gleams in the yard like pure magic. Crouched beside the brand new pond, she exhales shakily, admitting it totally caught her off guard. Two tiny fairy-like water spirits pop into view, squirrely and playful, then quickly fix themselves and call her Satsuki, not beloved child. She realizes this fresh water source is a lifesaver, because now she can finally start planting and watch her efforts take root. With fresh fire in her eyes, she declares that the withered land development project is finally kicking off for real. Under a clear, blinding blue sky, the view catches the very top of her fence line. In the last few days, non-stop stuff went down, and she's been making serious leaps forward. She dug through one brutal lesson after another, trying to revive that cursed, withered land back to life. Inside that purified fence, with her expansion ability humming, the plants grew like it was nothing, alive and perfectly normal. Meanwhile, the soil beyond is still poisoned by that miasma, and it won't let a single plant grow. She's devastated her quick-grow test herb refuses to sprout, even after spreading it fast. She decides she has to dig up a whole new method, because full land preparation is out of the question if she wants to use way less KP. Sasaki suspects the soil is the problem, so he jumps into a small experiment. With a bright laugh, she confirms her guess was right and watches the potted herb flourish in real time. She clutched her tablet and gasped. This meant she could grow plants without KP. She taps the screen and decides the moment has come. Her secret weapon is finally stepping onto the stage. She beams as she proudly shows off the seedlings that sprouted from the fruit she chewed and swallowed. The Chibai Satsuki smirks and blurts out that she just figured out something huge. The diagram spills the truth. These special trees don't just stand there. They blast barriers and purify everything around them. With her brand new saplings planted, she stands there praying they'll cleanse the whole area for good. With a bright, hopeful grin, she coaxes those tiny plants to grow tough and strong for her. Like the plants were answering him, promising they'd handle everything for him. After that, she gets stuck relishing that sharp, sour hit of pickled plums every single day. She's chasing a wild dream, to blanket the blighted land in a living sea of plum trees. She can't help thinking Inari-san would shoot her a sour look the second he laid eyes on her. Back at her log cabin, she kicks off a brand new project that's about to blow everything wide open. She snaps the power station into place, beams with victory, and declares the fridge is finally installed. The indoor power station flashes on, humming like it's ready to blast electricity straight into her home. Satsuki crouches low, grinning like she just pulled off the greatest move ever with her newly finished setup. She can't stop smiling, already dreaming of sinking her teeth into ice cream and sipping cold drinks in her brand new home. She hands the local light, spirits the job of keeping her solar panels fully juiced. As she's strolling outside, a sudden, jaw-dropping sight snaps her attention like lightning. The camera zooms in, and her cherry trees are stacked with huge, ripe fruit, ready to burst. Gazing up at the branches, she can't help thinking, maybe they'll be ready to eat any minute now. She stands there staring up at the towering cherry tree, taking in every breathtaking inch of its height. A brand new problem slams into her mind, and she starts stressing over how in the world she's supposed to pick the fruit. She snaps to the truth. She's going to need a stepladder for this job and every job after it. She panics when she realizes the stepladder won't even squeeze into her tiny car. She locks in a plan, then storms inside to corner Inarison and beg for help. Inside the cabin, she snatches for her car keys, eyes set. She's ready to bolt out the door. A booming voice shouts her name and snaps her attention right before she can step out. Her tiny familiar dragon strolls in, all noir swagger, chirping out a bright good morning. She leans in, soft as a whisper, and tells Noir she's gotta step out alone to run a few errands. Noir lights up and blurts that he's dying to come with her. Satsuki shyly but firmly admits the truth, only she can step into the real world. Noir's face drops, and she blurts out that it's not happening today. He suddenly agrees to wait, and it knocks her speechless with shock. Noir can barely contain his excitement. He blurts out that an ancient dragon is about to come visit them soon. Satsuki's face tightens, like the moment the shock lands hits her all at once. She drops to her knees and tells Noir, "This is exactly why I have to get back fast." She leans in and makes sure of it with him. Yes, the ancient dragon really is coming here. When she presses him for a date, North grins and cheerfully admits, "I have absolutely no clue." Satsuki freezes, eyes bulging with sheer panic, as he realizes there's not a single detail he bothered to include. She barreled into Inari's camp, yelling at the top of her lungs that the ancient dragon had finally come. Inari panics and blurts, "Don't yell that out so loud." With a shaky breath, he admits he wouldn't even be shocked if that dragon shows up. Satsuki swallowed her fear and asked, trembling, if ancient dragons were really as massive as the legends claimed. Inori leans in and asks, "So, have you seen that new kaiju movie everyone's been freaking out about?" She confesses she hasn't seen the Shinkeiju film at all, she's only watched its commercial. He grins and confirms the dragon is absolutely that huge. Her terror spikes even higher when he says it'll likely come hurling right at them. He leans in and tells her, have Noir shoot back a quick message, like that'll calm everything down. She's stunned when she realizes the dragon can morph its body size at will. She can't believe anyone would buy a dragon that can change size. It's totally absurd to her. Inari snaps and basically admits, "Yeah, I'm a saintess too, and that's already ridiculous, isn't it?" Satsuki nods and tells Noir to deliver the message the moment she's back home. Then she blurts out she needs a stepladder and leans on him to help her out. He jumps in and offers to grab one, and she confirms it won't fit in her car. As she thinks about the road ahead, he tells her to grab a light truck. She frets over the price. She just slammed a brand new bike into her budget. He jumps in right away, offers to track down a used one, and even lets her pay it off in installments. She nods like it's already decided. Yeah, she'll probably need one sooner or later. With fresh fire in her eyes, she eagerly grabs his generous offer. Her homestead pops into view. Her little car and her bike are tucked inside a brand new shed. Satsuki hops on her scooter and tears down a rustic path through the woods. A calm, content smile blooms on her face as she relishes the peaceful ride. Her scooter rattles and clunks forward as she rolls up to a towering wooden fence. She eases her scooter into the fenced-in base, then scans the whole area like she's hunting for her next move. She spots the plants inside the base and confirms they're thriving. She watches their progress crawl because the air here has no spirit to fuel them. She strides through the gate with a clipboard in hand, scanning everything like she's judging her own masterpiece. She stakes down the freshly planted sapling, then grins and declares she's thrilled with how well it's taking off. She drops to her knees beside a neat row of young trees right at the edge of her property. She can't stop smiling as she pictures them growing into a stunning line of plum trees. Unseen, that rugged man stalks closer, and he watches her from behind a tree like he's about to strike. That man's blazing, hostile stare locks onto unsuspecting Satsuki like he's about to strike. She decides the moment's done and sprints back, tablet in hand, eyes locked on the screen. While she taps away on her device, the man keeps staring at her like something's deeply wrong. Her tablet spits out a no-signal warning right at the edge of the property. She's already plotting her next move, rerouting the pond water into this very area. A chill of unease hits her, and she snaps her gaze up from her device. She's blindsided when that strange, hostile man suddenly shows up out of nowhere. He screams at her with pure fury, but the words land in a language she can't understand. Her feet slam the ground as she bolts off in pure terror. She panics, lost in his words, while his seething anger hits her like a storm she can't outrun. She's dead sure no way in hell is she letting him catch her. She shrieks at him to back off, then bolts straight for the fence. She whips the gate open and slips her scooter in, safe and sound. With hands shaking like crazy, she slams the ignition and fires the engine up fast. As she twists to run for her life, she shoots a frantic look over her shoulder, chest heaving. She stares in shock because he isn't chasing her at all, like he vanished from her life. Her two wolf pals, Haku and Yuki, came barreling back to her side in a flash. She tells him some creepy guy has been hunting her, and then she's left wondering where he disappeared to. Her companions stare and gasp as they spot him way up on a jagged rocky cliff. One of the wolves blurts out that something's pinning him down, a brutal barrier that won't let him move. She can't believe it. Her plum trees whipped up a defensive barrier to protect her. The man hammers his fist into empty air, rage roaring like he's trying to break through a wall only he can see. He roars in pure frustration, slamming his power at the barrier, yet it won't budge. His companions clock the aggression in him and snap that they're going to drive him off. One of the wolves erupts in a thunderous roar, and the trapped man jolts in shock. Startled by the terrifying sight, the man whips around and bolts into the distance. Haku slams into Yuki's path and stops her from chasing, swearing they have to stick with Satsuki. Satsuki, all fired up, yells for her two faithful white wolves, Haku and Yuki. With a radiant grin, she pours out her heartfelt thanks to the wolves who saved her. Yuki brags he can shut the threat down with zero trouble, while Haku studies the stranger's weirdly out-of-place presence in silence. Satsuki's eyes widen at Haku's sharp observation, and she blurts out how remote this place really is. Haku nods along with his father's words, saying there aren't any human settlements anywhere close. With no answers in sight, Satsuki's mind races as she wonders who that mysterious person really was. She flashed a sweet smile and politely begged Haku and Yuki to walk her home. Two wolves joyfully trot beside her as she barrels down the path on her roaring scooter. Night sweeps over the peaceful log cabin, nestled snug against the looming dark mountain. Inside, Satsuki sinks into quiet thoughts by a flickering lantern, while Noir, her tiny dragon companion, dozes nearby. She flicks through her tablet like it's a lifeline, replaying the whole day in her head. Satsuki blurts out, wondering if everyone in this world is as feral as that guy. She can't stop thinking about what could go wrong, flashing back to how he raged and pounded the invisible barrier like it owed him answers. With a bone-deep, exhausted sigh, she slumps back and feels the crushing weight of her stressful life bearing down on her. Noir jolts awake from his nap, marches up to Satsuki and blurts, "What's wrong?" The tiny dragon puffs up his chest and tells her, with total confidence, that he'll protect her. Satsuki beams and thanks her companion, then sweeps him up in a huge, grateful hug as those tiny wings flutter like crazy. Even with that adorable confidence, she knows she can't afford to waste time. She needs something practical right now. On her tablet, a map glows, pointing out the unguarded trail from her cabin straight to the withered land base. She toys with the idea of building a wood fence, but the sky-high price of lumber and KP has her second-guessing everything. With her tablet in hand, she hunts through the building options, zeroing in on a fence that won't burn through resources. Her eyes sparkle the moment she spots an entry for a simple, budget-friendly garden fence. With a tiny plop, a chunk of the wooden fence suddenly rips out of thin air. She breaks it down for him. The fence has a built-in barrier function, and it barely costs resources. With fresh fire in her chest, she vows to fence every step of the trail straight to the withered land base. Sunlight spills over a jagged mountain peak as she kicks off her wildly ambitious construction project. Sasaki calmly strides down the path, and fence sections pop into existence beside her like magic. A little satisfied smile blooms on her face as she watches her defenses finally take shape. The camera sweeps past her log cabin's roof and glides across the breathtaking mountainside beyond. From up high, she surveys the freshly finished fence wrapping around the dead, withered land base. With her work finally done, she turns toward the mountains, and a nagging worry clings to her thoughts like it won't let go. She leans toward the gate and peeks, heart thumping as she wonders, has that strange man come back? A voice suddenly yells her name from behind, and she jerks around, completely startled. Byakuya, that massive white wolf, lowers his head and apologizes because he totally freaked her out. After the chaos from yesterday, he rushes to ask if she's okay. She nods and says she's all right. She relives the nightmare of a torn-up yelling man who hunted her down. She fires off her bold new plan, wrapping the entire mountain in a protective barrier fence all the way around. To keep her safe, Bakuya decides to send Haku and Yuki along with her. Moved by how hard he's worried for her, she yanks him into a tight hug and thanks him with all her heart. Yakuya steps up to sniff out the suspicious man, and she jumps at the job without hesitation. Satsuki snaps at him to stop being reckless, and he answers by calmly agreeing, no hesitation, just steady resolve. With sunset bleeding across the sky, he shrugs and tells them it's time to turn back. The great wolf stands there in dead silence, staring as she strides straight toward the gate and the safety it promises. He leans on the brand new fence and stares out at the colossal mountain range stretching forever beyond it. Bikui can't help but marvel at how wild it is that a human would choose to live in a place this far off, like they've vanished from the map. The camera glides into a huge, silent, breathtaking mountain world, and the stillness feels almost unreal. The very next day, another fence post simply pops into place with a soft plop as the work grinds on. Now with her escorts watching close, Satsuki nods along with Haku, because staying careful is always the smartest move. Yuki boasts that the moment any new threat shows up, he'll punch it straight into the ground. The three of them stride down the path, and that magical fence keeps snapping into place right beside them, as if it's alive. Satsuki breaks into a warm smile, because right here with her loyal guardians, she feels safe, loved, and completely at home. The breathtaking mountain landscape turns their never-ending grind into something almost peaceful. Right on cue, another slab of that plain wooden fence snaps into place with a sharp, explosive sound effect. Satsuki stands beside her wolves at the fence, eyes locked on them as she figures they're only about halfway through. One of the wolves glances at her and tells her it's time to head home for the day. He says he can hear the far-off thunder rumbling in the distance, like the storm is charging straight toward them. The very next day, a brutal downpour pounded the windows of the snug log cabin like the sky meant business. Satsuki grimaces because the brutal rain has slammed the brakes on her plans to build more fences. She turned to her dragon buddy, Noir, and asked what they should do, then Noir basically told her to crash for a nap. A sudden clunk from outside jolts both Satsuki and Noir, and they whip their heads toward the noise. They lean to the window, frozen with curiosity, trying to figure out what in that raging storm could have made that weird sound. A car screeches to a stop, and through the driving rain Inari lets out a booming "good morning," like sunshine just hit the street. Inside the cabin, Inari sits shoulder to shoulder with Noah while Satsuki hustles in with a towel, ready to dry him off. He admits he's wiped out, but he's still somehow hauled over the step ladder she asked for. Satsuki thanks him again and again, practically gushing that his help means everything and she's truly grateful. Inari waves off her thanks, then tells him she needs to talk about something else, right now. He blurts out that they've got to go check out the awesome light truck he just found, pushing her to come right now. Satsuki fumbles her budget in shaking hands, but he breezes in and tells her, "Don't stress, it's fine." He swears that if they don't move fast, the best deals get snatched up before they even realize it. The story snaps to a cloudy sky above them, and you just know asterisk, their journey is about to kick off. Inari's huge SUV rips down a winding road in the real world, where the map says it's all normal. He freezes in total shock, mind racing as he blurts out how she could have bumped into someone out there. Satsuki spills every chaotic detail of her run-in, with that massive yelling man in torn clothes. Inari freezes when she realizes she can't understand a single word of the man's language. She fumes and can't stop thinking, how is she even supposed to go shopping in a state like this? Inari awkwardly blurts out that he basically just figured, since she used to be a saintess, she'd know how to talk. He's frantically begging, he'll go straight to the god Ignisama and demand they fix the problem. Satsuki grins and confirms that Haku and Yuki drove the man off for good. She wastes no time. She lays out her plan to wrap the whole mountain in a barrier fence for safety. Inari nods and admits that, for now, her plan is more than enough armor. He adds that once Noir grows up, she'll be a rock-solid fighter standing right by her side too. He smirks and declares that the second the ancient dragon shows up, nobody will dare lay a finger on her. In the pounding rain, a majestic white wolf stands guard on a lone, pitch-dark rock, eyes sharp and unblinking. It watches rough men drag off a row of bound children, the whole scene steeped in grim horror. The wolf side tightens in fear and razor-sharp focus as it locks onto what's there. I can't believe my eyes. One of the captives is a young beastkin child. In the pouring rain, the child's face becomes a terrifying mask of fear, and tears keep spilling down. The brute yanks the rope and drags the sobbing kids through the mud, their cries swallowed by the churn of the ground. The wolf just knows with grim certainty that deep, deadly dangers are hiding in this world. In a divine realm, one god can't stop chuckling because Satsuki completely forgot the local language. Inari blurts out what happened to a fuming Ignisama, and he shuts her down fast. It's not funny. Ignisama's jaw drops when he learns Satsuki already stumbled into a bandit. Inari shot back that her barrier fence was locked in, and it would keep her safe for now. To crack the language problem, Ignisama whips up a simple glowing ear cuff. He tells her the device has a built-in translation mode, so she can finally talk back and get her point across. Ignisama also swears she'll set up a translation app on her tablet so she can use it right away. He can already feel it. Ancient dragons are about to crash in, and things are about to get wildly lively. Back at the log cabin, Inari's car sat outside beneath a perfectly clear sky. Satsuki beams with pure joy as she slips on the magical ear cuff, thanking him over and over like her heart's about to burst. Inari tells him the new translation app is about to cost her a few KP just to download. Inari hypes Satsuki up to save her strength and keep pushing, and Satsuki nods with total confidence, ready to give it her all. Outside, he points at a spotless light truck, firing off the question, "You're sure about this?" A diagram spells it out. He's handing her his company's truck so she can use it however she wants. She squirms at how generous he is, but he waves it off like it's nothing more than hazard pay. When she hears hazard pay, her eyes go wide and her mind snaps into serious overdrive. Panic rips through her as her mind conjures a dragon, crawling monsters, and that terrifying man. Inari clocks the distress in an instant, but instead of admitting it, she blurts out in a panic that nothing's wrong, not even a little. From her porch, she waves him off and calls out her thanks as his car pulls away. Inside her cabin, she packs up to go, then tells her dragon buddy, Noir, to guard the house while she's gone. Noir snaps his wings open, practically buzzing with excitement as he blurts out that he's coming with her. Satsuki's jaw drops at what he's doing, and she cheers him on because he's finally learned how to fly. That tiny dragon proudly declares, "Don't worry, I've got you now," ready to protect her as she sets off on her journey. With a jittery smile, she stammers out the truth. Her wolf buddy, Haku, is already right there with her. Noir totally shuts her out, slams down onto her cap with all his weight, and swears he's right, insisting he's not the one ignoring her. On the porch, she grills him, asking if he's really coming, and he shoots back a loud, excited yes. Hidden behind the trees, a shadowy figure stays unseen and watches her slip away from the log cabin. Then the observer flips the script. It's actually Byakuya, the huge, majestic white wolf. Haku, the younger wolf, barrels in at full speed and blurts that he felt movement creeping through the mountains. Byakuya tells Haku to stick with Satsuki, but the pup grumbles that Noir is there and it's not sitting right. Haku struggles to keep his cool as a terrifying burst of magic pours out of that tiny dragon. His father barks that he has to toughen up and learn the ropes, because if he's going to protect Satsuki, that's the only way. On a desolate, jagged stretch of rock, a band of figures trudges along a winding path, the silence screaming around them. A pack of rough, no-good bandits struts straight through the dead, hostile wasteland. The spiky-haired bandit boss barks an order at his huge, bald brute. Perched on a towering cliff, a pack of wolves keeps perfectly still, silently stalking the bandits from afar. Yuki, looking rock-solid determined, leads the wolf pack as they stare at the men with razor-sharp focus. A scout wolf creeps up to Yuki, and she whips around, demanding a full report on what's going down. The scout hunches in close and confirms it. Those bandits are barreling straight toward Satsuki's mountain. Yuki leans over the edge, eyes locked on the bandits' hideout, and demands to know what's happening with their base. The scout comes back with only a handful of guards, and Yuki clocks the numbers so fast she's already sure it won't be enough. Yuki nods at the report, his eyes locked on the scene unfolding below. He decides the main group camping on that slope is the first problem he has to erase. A hulking, bald bandit hurls a brutal hammer swing, totally oblivious to the danger closing in. The bandit leader snaps to attention, muttering that if they'd done nothing, they would have been left alone. Yuki's eyes sharpen with deadly intent as he decides the time to hunt has finally arrived. With one thunderous leap, the whole wolf pack rockets forward, ready to slam into the attack. A giant, fox-shaped white beast barrels down the slope, stomping straight toward the unsuspecting men. Trapped and trembling, the bandits shriek as the wolves crash in from every direction. Somewhere far off, Satsuki snaps her gaze up from her work, brows furrowed like she just spotted something that doesn't add up. She whips around to Noir and asks, "Did you hear that weird voice too, like it came from nowhere?" She can't help wondering if it was just some random bird, but Noir shuts that down. He admits he doesn't really know. The little dragon huffs out a tiny, knowing puff of air, like it already saw this coming. And he shares a silent, knowing moment with the wolf, Haku, who's lurking right nearby. Satsuki hears that awful scream and, thank God, realizes the sound suppression feature was actually on. Haku nods and promises to deliver her message, and that smug, noir-looking guy leans in like he's just won something. The wolf drags out a tired sigh, and a fresh bead of sweat slides down its brow. Sasuke can't help but smile at the giant creature. Yeah, it's a handful, but it's obvious everyone loves it. The camera sweeps across calm, peaceful mountains, stretched wide beneath a sky so quiet it feels like it's holding its breath. She cheers with Noir as the last piece of her protective fence clicks into place. A tight close-up catches the wooden fence plank plunging down and sticking hard into the dirt. She lets out a wave of relief because the brutal work is finally finished, for now. With a bright grin, she declares it's time to head home and chow down. In a pitch-black cavern, a pack of wolves closes in on their fallen, suffering packmate. A desperate wolf shakes the battered one, urging him to drag himself back together and keep breathing despite the pain. And another can't stop asking, "Why am I suffering this bad over a tiny little injury?" A wolf with a wild fringe of hair snaps his eyes to his father, desperate for answers. The stern pack leader cracks a grim look and admits, straight-faced, that he has no idea. They start whispering about poison, and one wolf bolts straight off to hunt down antidote herbs. A sky packed with glittering stars stretches over the desolate Rocky Mountains, turning the night into pure, haunting spectacle. A calm mountain rises beneath a bright, spotless sky, like the world is whispering, "New day, begin." Sasuke and Noir strode through a lush, sun-drenched forest, and the whole place felt eerily calm. She's bursting with joy when she stumbles into a grove packed with blueberry bushes everywhere. She stares in shock at the plum, massive and bursting with perfectly ripe berries. The moment the thought hits, she's already picturing herself whipping up a sweet batch of blueberry jam. With a bright, cheerful grin, she jumps straight into harvesting them on the spot. She leans in close, plucks the perfect berries from the branches, and fills her little basket with care. Plump, perfect blueberries tumble out of the basket and spill into a storage bag. With a flick of her tablet, she snaps the basket of freshly picked berries away like magic. She playfully scolds Noir, teasing him for devouring the sweet and sour fruit like it's the only job, instead of helping out. She remembers those plum trees, right nearby, finally loaded up with fruit this season. With a bright grin, she can't help thinking that their meals are getting richer, bolder, and way more varied. She whips her focus over to her mulberry plants, checking how they're coming along. She's thrilled to see they finally ripened, until a nasty rumble snaps the moment in half. Yakulia crashed through the trees, breathless and begging, "Please help me." He blurts out to a shocked Satsuki that Yuki's mate is badly injured. Satsuki's jaw drops in pure disbelief as the news repeats his own words back to him. He drops to his knees and begs her to come, saying this mess is way past what their pack can handle. In the den, the wolf pack huddles in a tight circle around their injured member, who's barely hanging on. Satsuki rockets over to Yuki's side, blurting out, "Are you okay?" as he greets her. A wolf blurts out, frantic and shaking, that the wound is getting worse, and the antidote herbs aren't doing a thing. Satsuki drops to her knees beside the injured wolf, refusing to do anything but help. She stares at the wolf writhing on its back and quickly asks, "Are you okay?" She decides the first move is to scrub the wound clean, no excuses. The injured wolf, writhing in agony, snaps at her with a savage, delirious snarl as she comes closer. Yuki steadies the smaller wolf and gently presses its head down into the ground. He leaned in with a sinister snarl and demanded, "What do you think you're doing?" while the wolf cowered and whimpered. Even while he's rattled by what he just witnessed, this key blurts out a grateful thanks to Yuki. She snaps together her first aid kit and tells the wolf, "Brace yourself, this might sting a bit." Barren, jagged cliff face looms over a sky that's split between bright blue and drifting clouds. After she wraps up the bandages on his legs, she can only pray the wolf starts feeling better. She's terrified as the wolf keeps heaving and wheezing, trapped in crushing pain. Nor won't flap his wings, like she slipped him one of those blueberries as a reward. The little dragon suddenly shows up, and the wolves stiffen up and bolt back in panic. Satsuki's eyes widen at the bizarre suggestion, but Noir grabs her attention and orders her to hurry. She trusts him and boom, she pulls the bag of berries out of her magical storage like magic right on the spot. She pinches a single, juicy blueberry between her fingers, and it looks impossibly perfect. Nervous to the bone, she feeds the fruit straight to the wolf's mouth, begging it, "Please don't bite." The wolf carefully plucks the berry from her hand, then swallows it whole like it's a secret it can't resist. The camera zooms in on that spotless white bandage wrapped tight around the wolf's leg. A magical fizzing light bursts from the wound under the bandage. The white wolf's eyes snap open in a flash, fully awake, right on the spot. As the wolf starts to rise, Satsuki locks eyes on it, and worry tightens in her chest. She gasps in pure shock as the fully healed wolf wags its tail like nothing ever happened. It licks her face like it's thanking her as she wonders about the world's bizarre blueberries. Her dragon familiar slips away in a noir glare, like it's screaming she missed the whole point. Bakuya makes it crystal clear, the berry's power to break curses comes straight from her. Satsuki's jaw drops, she stammers through disbelief as his words hit her like a curse. The great wolf locks eyes with her, then hits her with a serious, urgent tone that demands her full attention. His eyes burn as he finally admits the truth, other people are hurting too. He guides her straight into the dark, ominous mouth of a nearby cave. Satsuki asks if everyone's inside, and he nods, yeah, they're all in there. Bakuya urges her to ask the light spirits to blaze a path through the darkness. She shuts out the chaos, then with a polite smile asks the unseen spirits for a tiny light. A glowing orb pops into existence, and with cheerful energy, promises to light their way. The spirit's glow drifts beside them as they step into the cave. The second she steps into that filthy cavern, a foul stench hits her like a punch. She clamps her hand over her nose, gagging at the filthy, unbreathable air. Bakuya tells her the others are right up the road, waiting just ahead. She leans in and realizes the cave is so pitch black she can't make out a single thing. She begged the spirit to light the way deeper inside. An eerie orb drifts forward, and its dim glow spills over a wooden gate locked behind thick bars. A full view reveals a brutal, prison-like cell slamming shut in front of him. Sasaki freezes in total bewilderment, staring at that weird structure like it's mocking him. Beyond those bars, a few beastkin kids, looking totally battered, are sprawled on the floor, too weak to even lift their heads. She stares in horror, blood running cold as she can't figure out why kids are trapped in here. In a splash of color, Zai and Byakuya stride toward a glowing gate, the light pulsing like a warning. They huddle up at the bars, staring straight into the pitch-black chaos of this brand new world. Inside the colored view, you can see the kids' miserable, battered condition laid bare. Clenching her jaw with pure resolve, she demanded that Byakuya shatter the cell. The gate detonates with a thunderous blast, and splinters explode in every direction. Satsuki tears through the dust, shouting to check if everyone's okay. Two of the Beast Ken brothers recoil in sheer terror as the violent intrusion crashes down on them. She blurts out a quick apology and flashes a gentle smile like, "I've got you, just tell me how I can help." The blonde boy with fox ears keeps recoiling from her, trembling with nerves like he can't even look her in the eye. Satsuki whips her hand up, trying to reassure the scared kid that she's safe. She's convinced she's terrifying, but Byakuya cuts in, maybe it's just a language barrier. Her expression shifts in a flash, then it hits her, and sudden understanding lights up her face. She smirks and flips on a tiny translation device in her ear. Sasaki leans in and softly asks the boy if he can really understand her words. His eyes went wide with shock, and it hit him. He finally understood what she meant. Her eyes snap to the magnificent wolf sitting right beside her. He stares in awe and blurts out whether she's the master of the legendary Fenrir-sama. Satsuki's voice shakes as she quickly explains, the great wolf is her familiar. The boy's jaw drops when he realizes Fenrir-sama isn't just a figure, she's her familiar. His eyes light up with pure admiration as he leans in and whispers, "It's incredible." When they asked his name, the boy shot back, "I'm Gaslu." Satsuki tells Gaslu it's time to go, but he wobbles every week like he can barely keep his footing. He slams to a sudden stop at the cave entrance, stuck, unable to push forward. You catch a glimpse of his bare feet right before an invisible wall stops him cold. Gaslu snaps that for some reason, he just can't push any farther. Bakuya grimaces and points out that a slavery crest has been carved right into his body. Satsuki blurts the word again, and terror hits her hard as she realizes what it truly means. The great wolf calls it sorcery, just to chain slaves and wrestle control from them. She spits out pure disgust, furious that anyone would do something so cruel to a child. Byakuya tells her the crest is right there, on the boy's nape. Satsuki yanks Gaslu's hair back, and the flash of a tiny, dark, intricate symbol is revealed. Byakuya confirms it. When he checks the crest, it reeks like something rotten. A sudden spark of inspiration ignites across Satsuki's face. She whips around to Byakuya and tells him it's real. This crest isn't just decoration, it's sorcery. She's staring at the curse-breaking blueberries, wondering if they can undo everything. Byakuya shoots a warning at her. If she breaks that crest, it'll instantly tip off whoever's using it. Sasuke realizes this could mean the kidnappers are gearing up to snatch him back. Gaslu lets everyone know that a meeting with a slave merchant is coming fast. A brutal memory flashes back, he and another boy fighting for breath as they get dragged into captivity. He shatters in tears, sobbing his heartbreaking tale of what happened to them. Sasuke snaps with righteous fury, screaming that this situation is nothing short of a disaster. She snaps that they're leaving right now, her disgust at slavery burning hotter than her words. With iron resolve, she hands Gaslu one flawless blueberry. The young boy swallows his nerves and gingerly takes the small fruit from her hand. He tosses a blueberry into his mouth and starts crunching it right away. His eyes flare with shock as he gulps down the magical fruit. That slavery crest on his neck starts fizzing, then it disappears for good. Satsuki cheers. She's sure the mark is gone, so now he can finally leave. With a proud grin, she declares that blueberries are the absolute best. She decides they've got to start feeding that fruit to every other kid around. Gaslu wastes no time. He rushes in, hands over a berry, and helps the other battered boy fight through his weakness. Satsuki softly hands a berry to the long-haired girl, and just like that, her curse shatters. She scoops up the children who are finally free and shouts that it's time to bolt, right now. With one kid in her arms, she slips the rest of them out of the dark cave and into the light. Gaslu shouts that they've got the strength to sprint the whole way. He flat out says that putting words on the revered Fenrir-sama would be blasphemy. Byakuya calmly points out that Beaskin is tougher than even the strongest human kids. Sasaki decides every kid gets one more berry for the road. She snaps orders to Yuki, demanding that she shepherd the children straight to the base. She begged Byakuya to match her pace and travel slow, staying right behind as they followed. The kids and the smaller wolves bolt forward, grinning as they kick off a full-on race. Sasuke trots behind him at a slower pace, clinging on as Byakuya charges forward on that broad, unshakable back. She grimaces, thinking about how slave traders still exist in this world. A punchy memory of that aggressive man from before suddenly slams into her mind. She shuts her mind on that now empty cave and throws herself into the rescue instead. Her only priority is rescuing those kids, and that's the one thing that matters. She bursts up, confused as she finds the whole group parked outside the base, completely stopped. She slaps her forehead, realizing she completely forgot her protective barrier. Panic surges through her as she frantically scrambles for a plan, while Byakuya just watches her, dead calm. Byakuya urges her to give Yuki's a name of her own, so they can slip past the door and get access. Satsuki snaps that his idea means she'll have to treat him like a familiar too. The whole wolf pack lines up tight and perfect, holding their breath, begging for entry. Satsuki tells them to hold on for a second while she rushes over to help the kids. She stands right in front of Yuki's mate, poised and ready to give him his name. The moment she calls him by his new name, Snow, a blinding flash of light erupts. Snow, the huge white wolf, dips his head low and pours out his deepest gratitude to Satsuki. He explains that her choices broke a terrifying curse on him, and at last he can reunite with his mate, Yuki. Every single subordinate wolf in the pack now bows to Satsuki like she's their master, and it knocks her totally off guard. Satsuki snapped her gaze back to the rescued kids and demanded Byakuya explain how to get them safely through the barrier. He breaks down the barrier's secret, then warns that if someone carries even a hint of malice for her, the barrier will automatically blast them away. Satsuki decides she needs to know them better, and right as she's about to move, she realizes she already knows Gusu's name. Then she whips her gaze to the other 4 kids and pleads, "Tell me your names too." A loud, wolf-faced kid struts up and declares, "I'm Theo," while a shy cat-eared boy murmurs, "I'm Maru." A confident blonde girl strides up and introduces herself as Catherine X Darrow *, while the shy girl next to her leans in and breathes, "That's Sally." Now that everyone's name is finally settled, Satsuki shoots out a welcoming hand and officially waves the 5 kids in like, "Welcome, you can come in." The kids tiptoe through an invisible wall, every step careful, and their pace drifts as pure wonder takes over. Gazu and Theo burst with shared amazement and pure relief because they actually made it through the protective field. Satsuki rides atop Byakuya and sweeps a gleeful parade of children and wolves deeper into enemy territory. A sky packed with countless stars sprawls above the shadowy mountains, sealing the day's end in pure, quiet magic. The whole crew finally rolls up to the massive, circular wooden gate, their temporary home at last. Satsuki orders the kids to hunker down for now in the basic wooden hut inside the base. Her mind is already racing ahead to what they need, and she calmly ticks off every necessity, then she closes the embedding. Her eyes lock onto Catherine and Sally, two girls who look completely worn down. Satsuki finally lands on the harsh truth. After all they've been through, those kids desperately need a real bath. As twilight deepens, the forest leaves turn to sharp silhouettes, and her plan clicks into place. She snapped her head toward Byakuya and demanded he take her back to the main log cabin so she could start getting everything ready. A jagged, shadow-black mountain slope cuts through the night as twinkling stars pepper the sky above. Satsuki grips a steaming cup outside a bright bathhouse, poised to help, while Byakuya just watches her with calm, patient eyes. With a bright, cheerful grin, she decides the girls are going first. She's getting them cleaned up before anyone else. A shower head blasts hot water, and steam fogs up the tiny bathroom as it hisses softly all around. In the steamy room, Satsuki leans in and lovingly scrubs one girl's hair, drowned under a ridiculous cloud of fluffy foam. She turns the bath into a challenge, soaking herself while she tells the two girls, count to 10 together, and makes it sound like a mission. After the bath, Satsuki leans in and gently dries one of the girls, long pale hair with a soft towel. Catherine pops into view, glowing bright in an oversized shirt, and she beams as she strikes a joyful, show-off pose. With the girls looking brand new and fully recharged, Satsuki snaps, "All right, now it's the boys' turn." Three beastkin boys stare in with wide eyes, practically vibrating with anticipation as a voice calls them into the bathroom. The second he hits the bath, chaos erupts. He thrashes around, splashing like crazy, and one wild squirt even rockets out of his own mouth. Sasaki snaps in full frustration, shouting at one of the boys to stop trying to swim in the bathtub. Her horror spikes as she spots another boy right on the edge of stuffing a huge handful of soap suds into his mouth. Through the chaos of soap and screaming, Gazu is the only one not panicking. He just calmly rubs himself down with a sponge. Under a sky full of stars, the little bathhouse bursts with loud splashing and unstoppable laughter. Once the ordeal finally ends, Satsuki staggers away wheezing, utterly spent from the fight. All her grinding work finally hit. Every one of the 5 kids is clean, tucked in, and out cold. Totally wiped out, she crumples against Byakuya's soft, furry side and blurts out apologies for being so damn tired. The next morning dawns with a rare, breathless calm. Satsuki digs into a simple breakfast like the world finally pauses for her. Her tiny dragon sidekick, Noir, whips around her head at full speed, chirping like crazy, begging her for blueberries. Satsuki rushed up to Noir and apologized for coming back late the day before, then asked if he was okay all alone. Noir gets it, then tells you she didn't have a choice. She had to take care of the kids. She's stunned by how grown-up and perfectly behaved he acts. Then she teases him, asking if he finally learned how to be mature while she was gone. With his chest puffed out like a banner, Noir proudly claims that being on his best behavior is just what you'd expect from the kind of ancient dragon. Grinning at his swagger, Satsuki decides to reward that super sincere Noir and tops it off with extra blueberries. Sasaki barrels back to base on her scooter, and that roaring engine shatters the quiet morning like a punch to the gut. One lone tree stands inside the fenced yard, its leaves whispering and rustling softly as the breeze rolls through. Bikuya grumbles that the scooter's roar is way too loud, and Satsuki pushes back, asking if it's really that bad. He reminds her that she's got those sensitive ears, and she accepts it without a fight as she strides toward the HUD. She slams the gate shut behind her, while she and Byakuya close in on the hut's wooden door. Inside, she finds Gazu, the only one still awake, stammering out a startled, "Good morning." Satsuki fires off, asking if everyone's up and wide awake, then points out the girls are still knocked out cold, dead to the world. She slips into the room with a huge, glowing smile, ready to wake the others who are still sound asleep. A cheerful good morning bursts through the simple wooden hut, bouncing off the walls. Her friendly greeting gets swallowed by instant terror. Theo and Maru, 2 beastkin boys, freeze and tremble with fear. Satsuki barrels over to them, panic burning on her face, and demands to know what happened to scare them this badly. They warn her about this earth-shaking growl and roar. Then it clicks, and she realizes it's her own scooter screaming in the chaos. She ushers them out and says, "Don't worry, the scooter's just a ride and it's totally safe." Gazu totally misreads what she means about its power. Then, with nerves on fire, he starts poking the vehicle with his finger, slow, careful, and begging for consequences. The other kids freak out and shriek that it's dangerous, driving Satsuki into full-on exasperation. Outside, they set up a folding table with a portable stove and all the cooking supplies lined up, ready to kick off breakfast. Satsuki slides a steaming meal onto the table, and the children, who were just a blur a moment ago, sit there quietly, finally at peace. The Beastkin boys dive into their food with wild, unstoppable energy, gobbling it down and chewing with pure, happy hunger. Catherine, one of the human girls, stared in pure shock, blown away by how something so simple could still feel warm and comforting. A tight close-up shows a steaming bowl of rice, and after everything they just survived, it hits like pure comfort. Catherine takes a cautious bite, and the second she tastes it, her eyes go wide with stunned, quiet shock. Her surprise bursts into shimmering joy as she savors every last bite like it was pure magic. Beside her, Sally chews through her food, while Catherine beams with a heart full of emotion at the simple meal. Satsuki watches the kids dig in, and this soft, warm smile blooms across her face like sunshine. While the group tucks into breakfast, she suddenly realizes, oh no, she totally forgot to properly introduce herself. She introduces herself as Mochizuki Satsuki, then flashes a warm smile and tells them to call her Satsuki. Catherine snaps her head up from her meal, stunned, and demands to know if Satsuki is noble too. Baffled by the question, Satsuki drops to her knees by the table and flat-out denies she has any noble status. Catherine drops a bombshell, saying in her world only nobles get family names, and it leaves Satsuki completely rattled. Catherine's words finally hit Satsuki like a thunderclap, and with a sharp look he asks, does that mean Catherine's a noble? Catherine calmly admits she's Duke Extero's daughter, and right beside her, Sally stuffs herself happily like the world can't touch her. Satsuki blurts out a tiny gasp. Her bright grin instantly crumples into pure, jaw-dropping disbelief. Panic slams into her chest, and her thoughts spiral as she begs the question, what kind of monsters would kidnap a high-ranking noble? A chill sinks in as she realizes she has no choice. She has to talk to Inaris about this dangerous situation. Dinner's done, and a messy stack of empty plates and bowls sits on that tiny wooden table like proof the night's over. Later, Satsuki breaks the news to the kids. She has to head out and hit the shops that afternoon. She whips around to a stunned Gazu and asks, "Can I trust you to handle things while I'm gone?" Gazu hesitates, then blurts out, "Are we really allowed to stay here, or is this a bad idea?" Satsuki leans in and reassures him, telling him it's all for their safety, because if those kidnappers come back, they'll be ready. She jabs a finger at the protective barrier and the wolves lurking nearby, swearing this is the safest place around. Gazu's expression snaps into a huge, confident grin, and all his worry vanishes for good. He and the other kids beam as they shout their wish for a safe ride while she revs up her scooter. Satsuki slips behind the wheel, and her little car tears through the sleek, modern city in the real world. Her shopping spree drags her straight into a kids' fashion store, where a massive sale slashes prices on children's clothes. She lets out a quiet chuckle, stunned by the weird twist of it all. She's picking out kids' clothes when she hasn't even had a life of her own yet. She drifts through the racks, weighing every option, hunting for the perfect picks for the kids. A big sign blares out a bargain sale on kids' clothes, and suddenly that small deal turns into real, much-needed breathing room for the family's money. In the shoe section, she panics, then lets out a frustrated sigh because she realizes she has no clue what their sizes even are. Her tiny car gleams in the middle of the noisy shopping center parking lot, just waiting to roar off to the next stop. The trunk of her car spills over with shopping bags, and she can't stop hoping the kids will love every gift. Racing off, she flips open her list and marks the next stops, bedding first, then food. Her journey yanks her out of the city and drives her straight into the rural mountains, where the road climbs higher and higher. She pulls up in front of the Animecap, the sign practically screaming her destination, and she's already locked in. By dusk, she's already fretting. Did she run too late, and is Inari-san still there waiting? Satsuki, a young woman with pure urgency in her eyes, hurries through a shadowy stretch of woods. Camp manager Inari steps out and greets her right as she breaks down in relief at finally finding him. In a cramped little office, they huddle around a table as she bursts into the story of what just happened. 2 cans of drinks sit on the table while she slips in a warning about kidnappers. Trouble's already here. Inari drags his hand through his hair, so fed up it practically burns. Who are these people even supposed to be? He decides he has to go with her, he can't afford to miss a single detail of how dangerous this really is. Satsuki flashes him a grateful smile and takes his help without hesitation as he gets ready to leave with her. Under a blanket of stars stretching over the mountains, their trek begins, straight toward another world. Right when they show up, they stumble onto a bunch of kids huddled around a tiny campfire, staring like it's the center of the world. A blonde kid with wolf-like ears and bandage wraps jerks in shock, gasping at how wild they look. He sprints to Satsuki with pure joy, and when she blurts out an apology for being late, he welcomes her right back in like nothing happened. Gasu peeks out from behind Inari, eyes wide as he blurts, "Who's that guy?" Satsuki beams and introduces Inari as his helpful friend, and before you know it, Inari swoops in with a warm, friendly greeting. The boy bows hard, voice shaking as he blurts out his greeting to the stranger. Inari's warm smile snaps into sharp focus as he watches the boy. He totally shocks the room by blurting out, "Does Gasu carry the blood of the legendary Fenrir?" Satsuki's thoughts spiral. Does this mean one of Gashu's parents is Fenrir? Inari smoothly sidesteps her own curiosity and tells them to save that topic for later. He leans in and reminds her, "It's way past bedtime, those kids are starving." Sasaki started unpacking the shopping bags, and the Beastkin kid just stared, eyes blazing with pure excitement. A huge pot of curry-looking chaos boils over on a tiny portable stove, like it's about to blow the whole scene apart. All the kids crowd around the table, while Satsuki slices up vegetables they've never even heard of. With a warm, knowing smile, she hands one of the girls a tiny cherry tomato. Inari steps up with a polite smile and asks one of the human girls, "Are you Catherine?" He lines in and demands a private word with the young, noble lady. Under a pitch-black, star-splashed sky, their serious conversation is about to ignite. Sasaki flashes a cheerful grin and lays out a feast of curry, salad, and bread for the kids. She leans in and tells you, sweetly, what to do when that unfamiliar food hits way too spicy. Two hands rip a fluffy, warm piece of bread straight down the middle. Then the bread gets dunked into that rich, steaming curry, and just like that, everything turns mouthwatering. Catherine takes a curious bite, and the moment the flavor hits, her eyes pop wide like she just discovered a whole new world. She tells Satsuki that even with the heat, every bite tastes absolutely incredible. The mountain night sinks deeper, and the sky erupts with twinkling stars. Inari sprawls alone on a crate outside, smiling like that talk just satisfied his whole heart. Sasuke hands him a red bean bun, and with a heavy sigh, he apologizes that there's nothing left for dinner. He politely waves it off, saying he's got dinner waiting at home. He starts spilling everything he learned, and straight up confirms Catherine is the daughter of a duke. A flashback rips open, Catherine's carriage gets swarmed, and armed kidnappers launch a brutal ambush. Sasaki ran his eyes over the noble ranks, and when he clocked where a duke stood, everything clicked. The duke was second only to the king. She can't believe the kidnappers, sheer nerve. Inari can't shake the feeling that some huge power is yanking the strings from the shadows. He grinned and teased, "Can you finally use a Maps app?" And she blushed, sheepishly admitting she still can't. He takes her answer like it matters, then leans in and watches her start scribbling in the dirt. She sketches a messy little map, laying out the 3 biggest countries in their entire world. Suzuki demanded confirmation that Gazu and Catherine were born in completely different nations. Inari slaps the center of the map and declares it, the Beaskin Nation. She can't stop thinking, why were they snatched together? He shrugs and says it looks like they were tied up as a package deal. Catherine's noble rank has Satsuki convinced help is on the way, and a rescue party will burst in for her any second. She pushes them to race and bring the young noble home without wasting a second. Inari fires off a chilling warning she might get mistaken for a kidnapper. Then he drops the topic and shifts to the other girl, Sally, who's right there, chewing through her meal. They finally uncover that the magic stone fused into Sally's shoulder isn't just power, it's a built-in GPS, guiding her every move. Sasaki's head spins. Why in the world hasn't the rescue team shown up yet? Inari told them straight up that there was no way they could reach them in time to rescue anyone. That slavery crest on Sally sucked the magic right out of her, shutting down the GPS tracker. With him towering over everything, the only move left is to hold still and wait for the ancient dragon. He laughs, certain the dragon's power will shield her from any human army. Inari leans in and asks about the Beastkin children, and suddenly the whole conversation swings in a new, tense direction. He urges them to come over and sit down with him for the real talk. Satsuki and Inari huddled up with the 3 Beastkin kids, ready to devour their story. The kids slap down the truth. were from a wolf beaskin village. In a brutal flashback, their village gets swarmed and crushed as monstrous orcs, clubbing everything in sight tear through the streets. As they ran from the chaos, the kids tore through the leaves in the woods, scattering everything in their wake. Right after that, they got ambushed out of nowhere and carted off by ruthless human kidnappers looking to cash in. Sasuke and Inari sit there with heavy hearts, listening to the heartbreaking tale with eyes full of sympathy. The kids stare up at them with tear-filled eyes, begging to be allowed to go back to their village. Injury weighs the massive danger of sending them back alone right now. When he finally shows up, he pushes them to go straight to the ancient dragon and ask it about it. The kids' faces crumple with worry, their hearts sinking at the thought of having to wait. Suzik stares at their gloomy faces, and a brand new idea sparks to life in their mind. With a jolt of pure resolve, she declares, out loud and without hesitation, that she's made her choice. She lays out her plan like a promise, turning that base into a cozy home for all of them. She beams at the kids and tells them, stay as long as you want, no rush ever. Gazu and the other kids explode into one massive, happy cheer, pure relief on their faces.